Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 304, and we have a special guest, Ryan Venrick, back in the garage for the second time?
Second time, yep.
Second time. Let's see if I actually put this on there right. I think I did. Make it official there. Look at that. Boom. Did I spell it right?
You did.
Cool.
Look at you.
Yeah. Sometimes we get things right here in the garage, which is nice. Ryan is the cask manager at Watershed Distillery in Columbus, Ohio. It is a local distillery for us, and you guys are getting wider and wider spread as far as your footprint. And we'll get into that a little bit. We've got a special bottle we're doing tonight. God help us. I don't mean you'll understand why in a second here.
Yeah.
Before we do,
I'm here for you guys.
it's a support group here. I want to thank our sponsors here, Tinder Box at Easton, Columbus, Ohio. We've got a big event coming up with Tinder Box at Easton. It's the Smoking Tent event. This is going to be the 11th annual. One of our sponsors, Altadis USA, will be there. Cigar Company will have cigars there as well. But this is on March 16th. And this is here in Columbus at Tinder Box at Easton on the northeast side of Columbus. And people come from definitely farther away than just our area for this event. But March 16th, it's $200 plus tax. Tickets are on sale now. And this is going to be something where you're going to get 14 plus cigars, brunch, lunch. There's a bar. You're going to have 14-ish companies there now. You're going to have Rocky Patel himself there, Eric Espinosa himself there. And also Ricky Rodriguez himself. All have been on this show before, but we have not had them in Columbus under the same roof for you guys to meet and hear directly from them, along with reps from other companies. So a lot of them have been on the show as well. So you'll see some familiar faces. Grab your tickets. Call Tinderbox at Easton. About half sold out of 250 tickets. A little over half sold out there. So that's fantastic. Thanks to Altadis USA as well. Monte Cristo, Romeo, Julieta, H. Upman, Aging Room, and countless others from them. Tonight, we've got the second cigar of the night. If we get to it, this is a long one, the first one, but this is going to be the Aging Room. This is the original here. That's our second cigar. So thanks to Altadis USA and all the people at Altadis. And again, BS Cigar Company, like I mentioned before, we appreciate you guys supporting. The gold is available as well as the silver. The gold is made by Plasencia, and the silver is made by Espinosa. So those are available now.
Just got those back in stock at the Humidor at Carfagnas.
Fantastic. So there's a few places around town, especially Tinderbox at Easton, that's going to have the biggest stock. But yeah, Carfagnas, you have both.
Silver and gold.
Silver and gold. That's fantastic. So check them out as well. Nate up at Carfagnas on the north side of Columbus. Fantastic place. We talked about that last week. Your place with our tasting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we did.
Forgot. Oh. Patreon.com/BourbonBS podcast. Thank you guys for supporting us through that. There's 3 easy monthly tiers if you guys want to do that. So thank you to everyone that's done the long-term support there. If you want to do a one-time contribution, there's always Venmo, and you can always Venmo us at Bourbon and BS. We appreciate that. And last but not least, a little more business. If you like some of the style you see on the show, I like Ryan stuff, but that's not going to be available.
Yeah, it's exclusive.
Exclusive to Ryan Venrick. It's a personal collection, fall edition.
If you want to get a job at Watershed.
Finishing.
The belly cost extra.
But I've got the blue and white BS cigar hoodie on, and Nate's got the Bourbon and BS black camo barrelhead hoodie on. That's available, as well as T-shirts, ladies' deep V's, and 3/4 sleeve shirts, all at buyjack.com/Bourbon and BS. Check that out. Some good stuff on there. Good quality stuff there as well. And that's print and shipped to you directly. All right. We've got something special here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And this is going to be, I got this right here a little bit. We have the Watershed Distillery Rye Batch 002. We featured Batch 001 on the podcast about this time last year.
Mm-hmm.
Just came up in my Facebook memories, actually. So this is the second time they've done it. We're going to let Ryan talk about it. I do have on the screen, and for those listening on audio, we'll get this posted ASAP. But the Watershed Distillery Rye Batch 002 is a lottery bottle through their own website. We've got it on the bottom of the screen there. It's now open until February 21st. And it's at watersheddistillery.com. Follow them on all the social media platforms as well. They've got a great Instagram and Facebook presence. And but you can check it out at watersheddistillery.com for info and entering that lottery. Right?
And there's only 100 bottles.
There's only 100
Very,
bottles.
very limited. Yeah.
And this doesn't count against the 100, just so you guys know. This is
100 just for the lottery.
Don't be mad at us, okay? Don't be mad at us here. We're not taking anything away from you. We could have 101, but whatever.
This is media.
All right, Ryan. We have not taken a sip of this yet, but let's get into this in more ways than one here.
Yeah.
So, cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, cheers.
Cheers.
Clinky. What are we doing here?
So yeah, this is batch number
Yeah.
2. Coming in at 145.4 proof.
What's that now?
A little closer.
You did hear correctly. 145.4.
140.
That would be 72.7% alcohol. Yeah, so it would what you would hear in the business as a hazmat.
Yes.
But once you get into it and discover all the other flavors that are in there, other than the heat, it is a pretty special bottle. So this is one that obviously this is batch 2 that we said. The first one went very, very well for us.
Yeah, loved it.
Actually won double gold at San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Won a double platinum at the Ascot Awards. So the bottle did very well. A lot of people liked it. This one is just as special, if not more. Funny story about this batch. So I tasted these shortly after we released the first batch, just to kind of do a check-in, how the barrels are doing, and it was terrible. It tasted awful. It was terrible. So we started to, me and the production team were like, we got to figure out a game plan here. So we decided we're going to let it sit a little longer. So I checked back in on it about 5 months later. And it took a huge turn. The summer heat really did it some good. So it was about July, August-ish. We were tasting it right on par with what we were looking for. And I said, let's pull it right now. We got to get it out. So we dumped it, bottled it, and then waited for the release. And now we're enjoying it today.
So I've got some, like all the stats out. Do you know the mash bill? I don't know, like what you retain.
Mash bill is going to be, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So you hear in Kentucky, you hear like the 95.5s.
Mm-hmm.
Ours is a little augmented. We're a craft company, so we like do things a little differently. So
Sure.
we're at 57% rye, 36 corn, and 7 barley. So a little bit lower on the rye, a little higher on the corn. But obviously, as you guys are going to taste it, it worked out.
So I've got two small sips in. Definitely has some heat to it right off the rip, since this is my first sip of alcohol today.
Mm-hmm.
But so my first question, when I see that on a label, obviously I'm always one. I encourage most to at least try it neat first, always. But would you, at this proof, do you think a lot of people are going to add a couple drops of water to something like at this proof, or do you say just this is like being the cask manager, this is what we wanted, this is what we envision as the flavor profile?
Yeah. So what I'm looking for when I pick bottles like this, pick releases like this, I'm looking for that transformation.
Okay.
So I'm drinking it neat. I'm adding some water. I'm
Okay.
putting it over ice. I want the full experience to see how it's going to drink, because not everyone, like you said, Steve, is going to drink it neat like we are.
Right.
A lot of people, their go-to is to put some ice cubes in there. A lot of people is, I can't drink it that hot, I'm gonna add some water.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of make sure it matches all of those profiles and it works with all those different techniques that people are going to use. And this one kind of hit pretty well on all those stages.
Yeah.
But what I got when I first tasted this is it doesn't drink 145.
It
No.
does.
It's once you get acclimated, it's more like that 120 range, which is baffling.
It is.
Well, that's one of the things I think we've said about Watershed quite a bit in the past. Is your guys' barrel proofs tend to punch below their proof.
Mhm.
Like we talked about before we went live, I had one of those leftover single barrels that was 142 a couple years ago, and I had done some blind pours for people, and like the highest anyone guessed on that was 120. And I tell them it's 142, and they're like, "Are you shitting me? Like, it doesn't taste like it." This, like that first sip, you're expecting that shock, and that first sip, like I'm sitting there like holding it in my palate, moving it around, and it's got a nice sweetness, a nice little bread note to it, and then down the hatch, that's where all of a sudden
Are we talking about your previous?
this
Okay.
bottle.
All right.
Down the hatch, like I didn't get the the Ohio embrace that we say. I didn't get that in the chest, but it just kind of intensified and stayed on the back of the palate and just all of a sudden just lit up and just kept lighting up on the back end. And then just decided to sit around for a while and starts tingling on the sides of the tongue like the longer it goes, and start breathing in that air and oxygen hits and just reignites it.
Yeah, for sure. The finish is great. This is one of the best. Yeah, it's super long. Super long. One of the best finishes that I've seen in a barrel at Watershed.
Yeah.
Because that flavor?
At that proof, it's super oily too.
Yeah, it coats really well.
Oh yeah.
What is that flavor that just like lingers? It's like, right.
I get a lot of like, especially when I exhale, there's a lot of tobacco notes, a lot of like brown sugar and black pepper. That's mostly what I get. And then right on the front is like there's like a really like a roasted cherry.
Yeah, there's some fruit.
On the nose, I get kind of a plum.
It's funny you say tobacco because that's what I'm not thinking. Obviously, we're doing cigars always on this show too, but it's like I'm kind of like, it's such a familiar note. For
yeah,
me.
no.
And I'm like, what is that flavor? And you're like, tobacco. I'm like, yep.
That's exactly what
it absolutely is. That's wild. That's wild. And then I mean, that sits.
Yeah, it's a crazy long finish.
It's funny because, and maybe it's just because this is my first few sips of anything this evening, but I mean, like right in the middle of my tongue, it is just lingering and lingering and lingering.
So those are the oils and those fatty acids that get extracted with the tannins.
Okay,
that's what that's coating. It's all those amino acids and those lipids.
Yeah, that's got to be, man.
And it's also got kind of like this spicy ginger note to it as well, there in the palate. But then there's this like oily sweetness as well. Yeah, it's there's a lot going on. There's a lot of complexity with this.
There really is, which is great.
Yeah.
This is, let's see here, just the stats for those that are just tuning in. We just went live on Instagram as well, just because we would like to do about an hour on there. But yeah, again, 145.4 proof. This is going to be, it's a 6-year rye.
6-year rye. Yep. Same as last year's.
Yep. And it's available for it's a lottery, but you're able to buy, if you win the lottery, there's 100 bottles there.
Yep.
And for those Instagram listeners that are just tuning in now, this is open now until February 21st, and you have to be able to buy it at the distillery in Columbus, Ohio.
Yep.
But you can get a proxy to do it if you're out of town. You just have to notify them. And you can also, if you're planning on coming into town but can't get it to get to the distillery on the 24th, you can call and pay over the phone, and they'll hold it indefinitely for you. So this is something that you guys can definitely check out. And if you can't, you read all the details. You're like, I can't be there. Keep reading, because there's going to be an opportunity for you guys to get the bottle.
Absolutely. We try to make it pretty flexible for you guys. If, like Steve said, if you can't get there on the day of, you can call in, ask for Amy. She'll take care of you. We've tried to make it as accessible as possible. But if you're chosen and you don't show up or you don't call, there's not much we can do for you.
Yeah, I'm looking at the notes here for you guys. The way it works, so if you do get notified, you win. Say you guys want to do this, you want to do it. Let's see. There's the notes here that I liked reading because it's interesting. If you don't, say you guys aren't interested or you just don't pay attention, this will be able to be purchased if you win on February 24th from noon to 4 p.m. And then any unclaimed bottles, that means if you haven't called in, you haven't notified them that you're not going to be there and you want that bottle, at 4:01 p.m., it'll be first come, first serve.
Yep.
So that being said, again, if you're interested, enter the lottery. If you guys win, get a hold of Watershed.
Give us a
I
call.
would do it even if I thought I'm going to be there 12 to 4. I'm going to be like, hey, can I pay for it over the phone? I'm planning to be in there. But like all of a sudden something comes up and you forget. But for those that don't win, you can also arrive that day And will you have some of this available at the bar? Do you have extra bottles that you guys will have?
I'm not sure because it's
Okay.
such a limited release.
Okay.
This is one of our most limited we've ever done.
Yeah.
I
Last
would
year
have
was
to double check on that. Last year there was a little bit more. I think there was
there? I thought it
yeah.
was less.
No, I think last year there was about 120 bottles.
Okay.
This year, obviously, it's the same batch of barrels. Got a little older. There was a little bit less.
Yeah. Okay.
And higher proof.
And
so
higher
it's-
proof.
eh.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, though. If you don't win, I would definitely, you're interested, just go to Watershed that day and just wait and
chances
401.
Yeah, chances are if you didn't win and you go to the distillery, there may be 1 or 2 bottles there that people didn't claim. There definitely was last year. So if you really want one, I would show up a little early, be ready at 4:01 and grab you one.
I
remember-
is the bar open, the restaurant on
5
Saturday?
o'clock Saturday. I think it might be noon.
Yeah. So I mean, come on
so it's
by.
reasonable. Yeah.
Come on by, grab some lunch,
Right.
grab a drink at the bar.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I remember
Let them know you're there.
a year or two ago, you guys had one lottery that there was a lady from out of state that actually came in town. She'd visited you guys, loved the place, entered the lottery, and then she was one of the the lucky winners. And she's like, "Yep, I'm booking a ticket, flying up from Florida." And literally, I got in line behind her when she was buying her bottles and stuff. She's like, "Yeah, I made a trip from Florida." Just to come pick up my bottles, and we're making like a weekend out of it.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
all right, there's some dedication there.
That's funny you said that. We actually had a couple from Alaska, I believe,
Oh,
that made the trip down. And I guess they had lived in Ohio before,
Okay.
and they love the brand. They moved away, saw there was a lottery, entered it, won, flew to get their bottle, flew back to Alaska.
Can't do that with this. You can't do that with this bottle. though.
Yeah, not with this one. That's a real gamble.
This bottle will not make it onto a plane. TSA will take this bottle,
Absolutely will.
and I guarantee you one of those bastards is going to drink this.
Or like I said to Ryan when I was texting, they might just if they need some extra fuel.
Just throw it.
If you run out of gas,
That's what you could have called. Like if you ever come out with another one, just call it jet fuel
right.
or premium. Oh my god, 93 octane right there. That's what I texted him.
Rocket fuel.
We were gonna meet up on the day I picked the bottle up, and Ryan had something come up, so he wasn't gonna be there. And so I was like, "Hey man, just picked up the bottle," which no one in the staff knew about by any means, because it was just like the bartender and some people setting up in the restaurant. There's no one at like the bottle shop, whatever. Like they were, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here to pick up a bottle."
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Oh, it's the rye." Amy set it aside for me. He's like, "The rye." There's like a bartender
Yeah.
at Watershed. And I'm like, "Yeah, so it's not out yet." And he's like, "Oh," and he's like looking around. He's like, "Oh, there it is." He's like, "I haven't seen this."
Yeah.
Are you paying for it? I was like, "I don't think you can ring it out because there's probably not a button for this right now." So I said, "If we need to settle up, we will." Let's. And the guy behind me is like, "Yeah, I'm not paying for mine either." I was like, "I don't think it works like that." But
yeah. With those kind of stuff, we try to keep that as under wraps.
it
as
was
possible.
definitely under wraps. No one knew about it.
Yeah.
It was funny. But yeah. And anyway, so like, yeah. So he's like, "Did you see the proof?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Wait till you try it." And I
it's
said, "Well, if I
insane.
run out of gas on the way home, I'm good."
Well,
No.
yeah, your card requires premium, so yeah, this would definitely qualify.
That's
This-
some horsepower, man.
This one might get you to the moon and back.
Yeah.
So I'll say this: we've talked about this a little bit. Obviously, I wanted to highlight the way you can get your hands on this bottle if you're lucky enough to do so. But flavor-wise, it's settling down a little bit for me. Definitely getting a lot of the same notes. It's tough. It was tough for me the first couple sips, honestly, because it's got a punch to it. I mean, which
Yeah.
I expect.
You definitely have to acclimate to it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not gonna be like it's nothing like scary or like anything. Like I mean, if you're normally drinking some like a weeded lower proof bourbon, like this is gonna be
A bit much.
This is gonna be different.
Yeah.
But if you like those, if you like ryes, 95.5s, again, different. This is a unique flavor profile, and I'm liking it as it calms down a little bit.
I'm starting to get more of those brown sugar
Yeah.
and kind of raisin notes to
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah, my lips are tingling.
That means it's working.
It gives your tongue a workout. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah, it does. This is
More
a,
passion. More passion. More fun.
More energy.
this is a bottle that I would call a thinker. You're gonna have to sit there. You're gonna have to think about it as you're sipping on it.
Mhm.
I like it. This is good.
Definitely don't want to drink too many things after this because you're not going to taste much.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, this is something again. I would definitely, if you guys are interested, I would definitely get on watersheddistillery.com. I'm going to light up this cigar here. What else do we need to know about this, if anything? I know you were pretty encompassing already.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, it's ultra limited. 100 bottles. Once it's gone, it's gone. So if you want a chance at it, enter that lottery. And like I was saying earlier, even if you don't win the lottery, if you're local, show up at the distillery. I don't want to guarantee, but there's probably a 99.8% chance someone doesn't claim their bottle. You can probably snag one.
Yeah.
You'll probably have to get there, just like your bourbon hunters on Saturdays. Yeah, maybe like 4 hours before 4 o'clock. So
just go ahead and show up at noon with everyone else.
Yep, and just patiently wait outside.
Show up at noon, check in. Hey, I'll be at the bar getting some apps.
Yep.
Maybe try some other products.
Right.
Can I get on a waiting list?
So much better than waiting outside a liquor store, where you have to just stand there. Like,
especially in February.
This is great.
Yeah.
You check in, be like, yeah, can I just give you, like, I'll be first in line at 401. Is that cool?
Right.
I think best way to go right there. Yeah, this is good. So we're smoking the Liga Undercrown 10-year all decked out. We've had this on the show before, but like I said, I wanted to highlight this cigar because this company, Drew Estate, is going to be one that's going to be at the Smoking 10 event on March 16th at Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio at the Smoking 10 event. So this is going to be one. We've already kind of undressed it. We talked about it last time. Nate reminded us what he said, and we don't need to repeat it unless you want to. But
it's all right.
It's all right. It normally comes with this yellow ribbon. You got it over there. It's got a yellow ribbon that's actually going to be tucked on top
yellow ribbon
of the cigar, going over the head of the cigar. It's a very unique dressing on it, but you just typically you just pull that off. It's got a footband down there that says all decked out, and you have the typical Liga, or not Liga, but the Liga Undercrown emblem on there, and it has a number 10 underneath that. So the boxes are definitely dressier than the normal Liga Undercrown, and that's going to be, the presentation on the box is fantastic. I don't have a box with us, but check that out online or in a brick and mortar there, because it's definitely a nice dressed up box there for you. But Nate, what do you think of this cigar? I know you've had it before.
I have
on the show, at least.
Yes, yeah, we debuted it. I think Spencer was on the show.
Mm-hmm.
No, I definitely like this one more than the regular Undercrown Maduro because I think this one, it has a little bit more complexity to it. Mm-hmm. It's a little smoother. And because I think it's a little smoother than the regular Maduro, that's where some of the complexity of the flavors really shine. I think the regular Undercrown Maduro does exactly what they wanted to when that cigar first debuted, and it was someone who's looking for flavor comparable to Liga Privada, but maybe their shop can't get Liga Privadas or they're too expensive for certain consumers. So that regular Undercrown Maduro, that whole Undercrown line, that's what it set out and kind of accomplished that goal. This one just takes that Maduro and makes it kind of an in-between between the Undercrown and the Liga series. It adds a little bit more richness, but it's a little smoother and more complex flavor profile going on.
Yeah. This was the Undercrown I mentioned, I think the last time I was on here, the Undercrown from Liga, from Drew Estate. I was most excited about this just based on the blend profile. This is going to be one. You've got a San Andreas Mexican darker wrapper leaf on top of a U.S. Connecticut broadleaf binder,
mm-hmm.
and the Nicaraguan fillers. And just on paper, I knew I thought I was going to like this cigar. If you're comparing the other Undercrown, you got the Shade, you got the Maduro was the original, and then the Sun Grown, and then this is their fourth release. And I got to be honest, I really do like this. To your point, Nate, very well balanced cigar, medium plus, medium full, I'd say.
I'd say medium full.
Yeah, but it's just rich. Now, granted, lighting that up after sipping on this whiskey, maybe feel like it's a little bit lighter, but it is. It actually complements. I think smoking this, lighting it up after having a few sips of this Watershed rye, it really is a nice kind of mellowed flavor profile. And you lit up as well, Ryan, right?
Mm-hmm. I did.
Now, you smoke cigars, not on the regular?
Not on the regular, no.
Okay. I'm curious to hear what you think about this.
Yeah, it's solid. It coats really well.
We had Ray.
Take a draw from the cigar, and then a sip of the whiskey.
That's what I did earlier. Yeah,
like back to back. Wow.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, the sweetness and the viscosity of the whiskey is heightened.
Yeah. Yeah. That I was thinking it, but once you said the sweetness is ramped up, it's like a shortbread cookie with a little bit of like that raw, like just raw rye on the top.
Yeah, that's like you almost expect like it's 145 proof. I mean, you're sitting there going, okay, that's just going to absolutely dominate the palate. You smoke a cigar like this, which is not a full-bodied cigar. It's full flavor, maybe, but not full
Definitely
body.
full flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you go from the cigar and then that whiskey, and you're not expecting that sweetness.
No.
Yeah, it's like sugary.
It is.
Yeah, I was expecting the spice to start to ramp up, but it was the exact opposite.
Now, I'll bet you if you go whiskey and then cigar, that you'll get more of that spice from the cigar. But
you do.
Definitely going cigar. Thank you, Steve. I got one. Steve's got the other.
He's 2 steps ahead of us.
Yeah. But even in the retrohale, which we talk about on the show, Ryan, I don't know if you remember from last time, retrohale is when you draw through the mouth without inhaling, you push it through the nose, and you get different flavors coming out of that.
Okay.
And it's just everything's. I'm surprised on how well this is working, this combo.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a richness to the cigar that I'll be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of until I went to the whiskey and then back.
Mm-hmm.
And it works really well together. Really well together.
Yeah. Yeah, there's you still get, it's like the woodiness from the cigar and the retrohale. Nate, I don't know if you retroed at all, but I get a little bit more of a woodiness to it, like a little cedar to it. What are you digging for there?
Draw poker.
Poker.
Well, because like I'm pulling, like I'm easily pulling through the cigar. I'm not getting a whole lot of smoke.
Yeah.
So it makes me think there's
puffing on it.
Yeah, it makes me think there might be a little bit of a soft spot in there. So I just want to make it a little, well, and it's a little thicker at the head of the cigar. So I'm just gonna, poke the head of it and see if I can get a little bit more smoke flowing through the, coming out the top.
And we are smoking the it's a 7x50,
Churchill.
7-inch. Yeah, they call it a Corona Doble. So double Corona or Churchill, but yeah, this is going to be, and this is coming in MSRP's right just shy of 14. So on the shelves in Ohio, you should expect to see this size around that $14.95, I'd say, with the tobacco tax. Thanks, Ray, for the great show comment there. Said he's going to have a short visit tonight, but hope all is well for you out there. And guys, comment if you're listening live. What are you guys smoking if you are, and what are you drinking? Once again, we're drinking the Watershed Rye. This is batch 002. What else have you been working on, Ryan?
What else have I not been working on?
Fair. We have another bottle on here that you brought with, and that you said this is unfortunately sold out.
I do.
This is, you guys went through something very cool for the first time, right?
Yeah. So
fall finishing series.
Yeah, we kind of did a rebrand with our holiday releases. So we created what we're calling our fall finishing series. So that's going to include our Watershed bourbon that we do any sort of finish on. This year it featured our apple brandy finished bourbon, our 6-year apple brandy finish, our 5-year Nocino finished, and then we did a really cool project with some maple syrup barrels this year. So I brought along with me our 5-year age stated maple syrup finished bourbon. So that was a really cool project to work on. A little bit of backstory on that. Everything about that bottle is sourced from Ohio. So the maple syrup also comes from a small maple syrup farm up around Canton. So what we did was I dumped the bourbon out. I took the barrels up to the guy in Canton, and he did some barrel aged maple syrup, and then he gave those barrels back to us.
Mm-hmm.
I put the bourbon back into it and then aged that for about 3 months, and then that's what product we get there. So completely different from the rye that we're kind of sipping on first, but it's another special one that I think you guys are really gonna like.
Is that like I guess I haven't heard much of the not to take focus off the rye here, but the maple syrup barrels. Is this a? I guess I haven't heard it.
It's not super
being
common.
done.
Yeah, it's not super common. There's a few other distilleries that also have a release. So we kind of wanted to get in on that before it really ramped up, so we could establish ourselves and ourselves in that product. So yeah, we're kind of also paving the way with these other distilleries that are doing this early, experimenting with maple syrup and experimenting with other barrels.
Because finishing is common these days.
Yes, yeah,
Very
that's kind of what
days.
it's a huge market. People really look for finished whiskeys. So
why do you think maple barrels is going to be like one of the next ones to gain popularity?
I mean, it's maple syrup. Who doesn't like maple syrup?
I mean, I was trying to get you.
I think they play really well together.
Maple
Honestly,
candy.
it's bourbon inherently is a strong, bold spirit.
Yeah.
So our thought was you calm it down, tame it down a little bit with the maple syrup. Maybe they play well together. We think it played really well together. We'll taste it a little later. But yeah, it was just we figured why wouldn't that combo work? So we tried it. And yeah, so this was batch 1. It sold really well for us. So
what's going into that barrel? Is it your regular everyday 4-year, or is it stuff that's out of your bottled and bond stock?
So it's more of our premium stuff.
Okay.
So I'm shifting the portfolios to where, if you're getting a limited product, you need to get a limited kind of stock in there.
Sure.
So there's really, really good bourbon that's going in there. Pulling from some of our bottled and bond stocks, some of our older stocks.
Okay.
So the maple syrup has a 5-year age statement, but I was able to fit 4, 5, and 6-year-old barrels into it.
Okay.
So it's got a complexity to it as well. That kind of rounds itself out. A little bit of sweet, a little bit of bitter.
Okay.
It hits really well.
Yeah. The reason I asked that is, just clarify for people, like you're not just taking your everyday $40 bottle, throwing it in a maple barrel and then charging twice as much.
No.
It's some of the the more premium, higher age stuff that you guys have.
Exactly. Yeah. So to get these barrels full with more aged product. So for example, if I have 5 barrels of finished whiskey, I have to harvest anywhere between 6 to 8 of regular straight bourbon whiskey to fill those all the way up. So it really is a true blend when it all is said and done. I have to blend every set of barrels that I do. I have to get them close enough that the profile is the same. And then when they're all done finishing, I do a second blend to get the final product. So there's really a lot of work that goes into it. A lot of thought process, a lot of effort.
Wow. Still love this rye. Sorry, just looking at the bottle while you're talking about the other one. The branding. It sounds like we're really kind of blowing smoke up your guys' skirt here at Watershed, but you guys
just in the garage.
No, you guys have just. It's kind of. I mean, I think we talked about it maybe last time you're on. Like just the growing up in the everything. Like what I mean. It's just been such a interesting last few years. I feel like
absolutely.
And the branding, the market, just the labels on the bottle, colors, the quality of everything going on top of into the bottles is just it's been cool to see.
Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah. Every aspect of the team there is really it's been special. We've had the best production team we've ever had in the 13 years that Watershed's been around. Our marketing team is the best it's ever been. Sales does a fantastic job. Everybody that's there that you talk to has a true passion and really cares about what they're doing. And it definitely shows.
It really does.
Yeah.
So I'm in the middle of another spammer.
Yep.
Get him. Get him, Steve.
Get
oh yeah, we are quick on. We're quick with it. I know.
Liam.
I noticed.
Yourself. Maybe.
No, Steve. I noticed you had added a couple drops of water to your second pour.
The old finger dropper.
See, I use the
Old
actual
school.
dropper.
That was all the way over there.
It was in front of it. Yeah. I use the actual dropper that Kristen was nice enough to buy for us, a while back ago.
Oh, that's nice.
It was.
It was nice. I didn't want to reach across.
You could have
Brian.
asked. You could have
You
asked.
guys are talking.
I'm not gonna bite, Steve.
I'm just gonna say, there's nothing wrong. I wash my hands before coming out here. It's fine. Filtered water.
How did they know that?
I don't care. What were you gonna say about it after putting water in there before you made fun of me for doing
I was gonna
dropper? You don't have a dropper, just use your finger, all right?
That's fine. It's your
natural.
finger.
Well, yeah, exactly. Don't do it in other people's drinks.
No, I was gonna ask if you noticed any difference or minor, significant.
I did. I'm surprised again. This is the second pour, so taste buds, kind of the nerves have kind of numbed a bit, so you're gonna get more flavor, I think, regardless. But putting I think it was maybe 4-ish finger drops in there on a decent little pour there. You guys can kind of see where I'm at there.
Right at the middle of the bell.
Right in the middle of the bell. Yeah, it took away a little bit of that punch for sure.
But even doing that, like, there's still enough oil and viscosity to where it still lingers on the finish. And like, I still get a lot of that sweetness up front. So it hasn't muted that sweetness, but it has softened the finish to where it's not as much burn, but it still lingers and almost makes it like this kind of spearmint kind of sitting on the back.
I can kind of see that. It's one of those where the first few sips, I mean, it was all right. This is where it starts, takes a sharp left turn, and then it kind of like takes another right, and now you're just kind of cruising down a long straightaway.
Yeah.
Now it's not sharp turns. It's a little bit more of kind of a curvy road, if that makes sense. It's kind of a little bit of a smoother transition. I get what you're saying. The finish is still very much there.
Oh yeah,
but it has, like, it's not just like before you were talking about how, like, it's the oils and everything else, the amino, like maybe that has already happened. So that's where I feel like my palate, my tongue has softened a little bit to it, but
you proofed it down from 145 to 140.
135, 140. But it's something where it has. I'll be interested to maybe try it again on a fresh palate and start off with a few drops. You know what I'm saying? Try a few drops on there, because it does. It's a nice. It's well, now we were talking earlier. It's 145, and it doesn't really drink up to that. Now with a few drops in there, it's smooth.
Yeah, and for me, the flavor mid palate is really where it's changing and like doing these somersaults. It started off, I think I said, like roasted cherries, brown sugar, black pepper. Now it's moving to this like this softer fruit, like a date or like an apricot.
I was gonna say apricot.
Yeah, it's damn good.
It is.
As biased as that is,
So yeah, let me ask you this while we're focusing on the bottle here is there a direction here? And I think we did talk about it the first time we were on doing this bottle. We were curious, is this going to long term be something that you're gonna have available? Like, will there be a Watershed rye of some sort, whether it be 6-year or is there a plan to, you've got your Watershed, obviously the 4-year blend, you got the bottle and bond, those seem to be your regular releases on the whiskey side, the bourbon side. Will there be, at some point, is there a goal that you're going to have Watershed rye?
Yeah, maybe
not 6-year, but whatever it might be, a 4-year, whatever.
There absolutely is.
Okay.
Just to kind of brag on our team a little bit in production, we had a record year last year. We put away more barrels than we ever did, almost by about 70%. So last year we did over 1,000 barrels across all portfolios. We have lofty goals this year. We made more rye last year than we ever have. So we're starting to put that stock away. There is plans to have, an everyday on the shelf rye. Cool. We just got to get it there. It's, as you guys know, right? It takes a few years. So we're definitely working on it. We're happy to release things like this in the meantime, get people excited, to look at what we have the potential to make. And then hopefully we hold up to that as we get closer to that date.
And just out of curiosity, you're going to stick with that blue label, or you're going to go with the classic green label?
See, that one's not in my department.
Okay.
That's marketing and sales.
Yes.
if I had to guess, it's probably going to change a little bit just because we want to differentiate
This
from
is your release.
exactly. So this is like our premium. We'll probably do something a little bit different, just to get that branding difference.
Saying green. It's gonna
Yeah.
be green. I think you're gonna follow suit. So
there's
everyone knows it's
an
right.
internal battle of blue and green, and it's hot and heavy. So we'll see.
Oh.
We'll see where that's at in the future.
Go
Sick.
blue. Just go. Just don't do the green.
It's gonna be green. I'm
It's-
telling you.
I
There's-
know.
It's just classic though. Like Steve said, everybody does it, which that's part of me wants it to be green, and part of me is like, fuck that. That's what makes us different, you know?
Well, yeah, I can see that. I mean, your bourbon color is obviously different, right? I don't know. My money is green.
Yeah.
And Dimmick says, "Tell me about the blue and gold label."
Blue and gold label.
Well, there was that uncut one. That was
That
gold.
was yellow.
That was yellow
Yeah,
with
this is
blue.
blue and gold. Yeah, you guys, I love that. I've got the uncut unfiltered, right?
Mhm.
I've got that in the house. Definitely stands out. That's one I like to. It's fun, especially even people that are local. But like if you have people out of state that haven't had the chance to really get to know a local distillery that you like. But even like, so I'm going to have some people over for the Super Bowl on Sunday,
Mhm.
and within reason, they're going to be able to try anything. You know, I don't have like this crazy like, you know, millions of dollars of whiskey, but like stuff like that. I'm not going to be like, yeah, help yourself. And then like I look at it and like something like that, which I
Right.
can't get anymore. It's just like, well, it was 3/4 full, and now it's got
Now you
a
have
glass
one
left.
pour left,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm like, son of a bitch. But it's gonna be like, hey, you want to try this? And it's like, let me pour you a little sample there. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
That's good, right?
You
Yeah.
keep that one in the bottom back
Right.
of the
Tuck
bar.
that one away.
Yeah, and then here's the Watershed 4-year. Try that.
There you go.
Yeah, I know it's different. I know, but
Mhm.
you can keep drinking that one. This one's going back in the cabinet. Yeah, I'm digging this. I'm digging this bottle. What else do we need to know about this before we kind of round out part one? Unless we can keep talking about it, or I guess we can't really pour. I can't pour another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was saying,
Maple syrup.
we're working towards, making this available to everyone every day. So for the meantime, we're still sitting on it, letting it, cook up, so to speak. But yeah, keep looking for these. We'll still have this limited release for the next few years at least. So keep looking out for that. We'll see if we can keep putting out a banger for you guys.
And just because, I mean, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. This is what we want to focus on right now. But you had the fall finishing series, which was a new thing. You had 3 of those, right?
Mhm.
Apple brandy, the maple syrup, and then you had the Nocino
Mhm.
finished. Now we're getting into the new year. Did you have anything between? You didn't have anything between the fall and this, right? This was like as far as special releases.
Yeah. No, this was
This
pretty
is
much it. Yeah. There's this.
Starting the year out.
We'll have the uncut unfiltered batch 2 is on its way. So be looking out for that. And then the next release before that will probably be something in the fall finishing series.
And if so, you guys did some wine finished ones,
Mhm.
and that was in the spring, summer.
Yeah, I think it was over the summer. Yeah.
Summer, and I know that was a
ago.
big release where you guys had a lot of traffic down there.
Mhm.
And if I remember, I believe the last time you were on, you said you were going to have, you still do a lot of single barrels
Mhm.
for a lot of different groups, and
Yeah.
like you have like different projects. But if I'm not mistaken, you still have at least 1 or 2 regular single barrels available at the bottle shop,
Absolutely.
at the distillery.
Yeah. We always try to keep a few in the bottle shop at all times just to give some variety and something special other than you come in, you get your bottle of 4-year, you get your bottle of bond, whatever. We like to have something on the side. Hey, look at this. Yeah, that'll never change. We'll always have something kind of special inside the bottle shop.
And the bottle shop is, if I'm correct, that's the only place you can find the Watershed Burchino.
So that was actually a one-time project.
Really?
So we don't make the Burchino anymore.
So I need to stop drinking mine.
So yeah, if you have any left,
I've got
sit
two,
on it.
I've got 2 bottles.
Sit on it.
I've got 2 bottles.
Enjoy it.
No Chino's still fantastic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, and this is funny. Bob Keller. He beat me to it. Speaking of limited, let me put this up on the screen here. His comment. Speaking of limited, I am a big fan of the Black Walnut Old Fashioned. So that's the Nocino
Mhm.
Old Fashioned. He's lazy. What? That's why one of the reasons he likes it. Yes, I'm so make it. How long do you anticipate the Nocino or the Black Walnut Old Fashioned being around?
Yeah, so that's a good question. That one also kind of fits into that. I wouldn't say it's limited, but we're not really making a ton of it year to year. That's something that it takes a lot to make that. And
It's delicious.
It's a great product.
Mhm.
So that one we kind of make here and there. So if you find a bottle of that or have a bottle of that, appreciate it. It won't be around all the time, but it'll be around for a little while.
Bob, go to Carfagna's because we've got good amount of stock of that
Yeah.
on the shelf right next to the regular Watershed old fashioned.
Yeah. The old fashioned is that's
Yeah.
you guys pump that out, right?
Yeah. That's a completely different product than the black walnut wolf. A completely different recipe.
Well, appreciate Bob you bringing that up because that was something I was going to bring up because that is one of the things, probably surprisingly, I'd say one of my favorite products from you guys is having a bottle of that Watershed Old Fashioned.
Nice.
Just because I enjoy it, much like Bob Keller, and he and I have talked about it in person. I'm lazy when it comes to that too. Sometimes you want a cocktail, but you don't want to get the shaker out. You don't want to do all this stuff. And you don't have to, So this is nice. It is truly, and it surprises everyone that I share it with. It just surprises them that when they try it, they're just like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's good. And I always warn them that actually it's not 72.7%.
Right. Yeah.
It's more like 70 proof.
Yeah, it's a little more mellow.
But yeah, it's like 36. I mean, it's 70 proof.
It's usually
So for a cocktail though,
that's strong.
Yeah.
That's a strong cocktail if you're pouring over ice, and at home you don't use as much, like you don't use the huge cube. So it's like it's a lot of cocktail in there. And if you have a few of them, well, you're going to catch up to a normal bottle of whiskey as far as proof real quick.
Yes, you are. But who knows? You may do that and all of a sudden set up a really good panel for a future podcast.
I did that. There are times where
now
I feel
you're thinking like a
inspired.
cast manager.
Like, how do you come up with these ideas? So I really like whiskey.
Yeah.
Yep.
You always got to be three years ahead instead of steps.
That's right. So you guys check it out here. As I've been having it on the screen. If you guys are listening to the audio after the fact, but we will get that audio out before the lottery's over. But I mean, again, go to watersheddistillery.com and you can register in the lottery to buy this if you win the opportunity to do so. It's limited to 100 bottles, and the lottery is now open until February 21st. So just a couple
2.5
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah, a little over a couple weeks here. Get on there. Doesn't cost anything to enter, but
2
it does
weeks from
cost.
today.
It does cost to buy it if you do get drawn for that. And this bottle is $89.99 if you have the opportunity to buy it. So follow the instructions on there, and obviously any of the details. If you guys have any questions, just reach out to Watershed. Do the contact them through the website, or just give the bottle shop a call. They'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah. Or if you're in town and you're a short drive away, just show up at the distillery. Somebody will be there to take care of you, whether it's Amy or even if it's myself.
Yeah.
We always try to take care of everybody that shows up.
Yeah. So it's a super nice spot. And you guys do tours all the time too. So you guys can register to do
All the
tours
time.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
Really convenient location. Restaurant's great. All that good stuff. I mean, you guys are killing it. So we didn't talk about the cigar a whole lot, but again, I just want to highlight that Drew Estate, it's Liga Undercrown 10-year, all decked out as they call it. And we've been drinking the whiskey a little bit more. You guys are probably smoking more than I am, but I enjoy this cigar. And we can, Nate, you were struggling a little bit with the construction.
Yeah, and the way I was smoking it, I knew there was a big ass tunnel in this cigar.
I see it.
Oh yeah, which doesn't surprise me, honestly.
Speaking of that, let's get into the rating. So as we round out part one, can't wait for Nate on this one here. No, it's good. The rating time. So we do it. If you remember, Ryan, this is where we do 3 ratings out of 10 being the best, but it's going to be the whiskey, which again is the Watershed Rye. This is the 6-year rye, and this is the batch 002. And then the cigar is, as I just mentioned, the Liga Undercrown 10 from Drew Estate. And then you rate 10 being the best, the pairing, and whatever you feel like.
Yeah.
So Ryan, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Go ahead.
So last time I was on the show, I was talking about with these guys before we started today. I was amped up and antsy, and I feel like I went really, really high on my ratings last time. So we're definitely going to tone that back a little bit for this round.
You don't have to. Whatever. If you're excited about it, I mean,
I'm more comfortable now. So,
okay.
I'll start with the whiskey, obviously, because that's what I'm most familiar with. This is a super special bottle. I was talking to Nate before we started. This might be one of my favorite products we've pushed out the door to date. Just with the proof, how it drinks, the finish is incredible. The flavors are incredible. I would give it a solid 8.5. Solid 8.5, maybe a 9.
Okay.
The cigar, I'll be honest, I wasn't a huge fan when I first lit it up.
Okay.
But then together, they really work. They sing really well together. Go to the cigar, go to the rye, go back to the cigar. They work really well together. The sweetness with the bitterness of the cigar, I would put it right up there about the same 8.5, solid 8.5. So that's where I'm sitting with both of them.
Nice. Nate?
Whiskey, I'm gonna go 9 on the whiskey.
Straight after.
Even knowing that this is only a 57% rye, the fact that it's 145.4 proof, I was expecting way more of an alcohol burn on the palate.
Yeah,
with this,
I can see that,
and it wasn't there. Again, like I alluded to earlier, there's been a lot of Watershed single barrels that I have shared with people that have punched below their proof. A lot of the barrel proof stuff that you guys do, the fall finishing series, although this one coming up is 114. I think the Nocino was 123, something like that.
Yes, I think it was a little lower this year. I think it was around 120.
Okay,
but yeah, between 120.
But there's so much complexity there. They drink lower than what their proof is, and that's one of the things I enjoy about blind pouring some of your guys' barrels for people. Is I'll ask them to guess what the proof is, and none of them come within 10 proof points of it. Yeah. And I think that says a lot about being able to produce something that has that high in alcohol content, but still so much flavor that it masks that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely a 9 on the whiskey. Cigar, a little disappointed in it because mine's definitely got a tunnel somewhere in here. What's left? There have been quite a few times where I've gotten more smoke coming off the foot of the cigar than I've gotten while drawing through the cigar. And that annoys me. Okay. And I've had that more with Drew Estate cigars or cigars coming out of their factory.
Okay.
Like even cigars made by them for other companies. I've smoked and been like, is this coming out of their factory? Like, yep. It's like, yep, do it. Because
interesting.
I get it more with them than I do any other manufacturer. So when I started having that issue with this cigar, which I didn't have this issue the first time we debuted this cigar on the podcast with Spencer, didn't have that issue this time. I'm getting that issue, and that is why mine's burning a little faster.
Yeah, it's a little funky there.
Yeah, it's canoeing there. Yeah. So, but it's got great flavor. Mm-hmm. I'll give it that. Mm-hmm. It's just not smoking what a 7x50 should, because I'm going to burn through this thing. So 7 on the cigar. Prior to that tunnel, it was pushing 8. Okay. But with the construction issues I'm having,
you like the flavor, but not the construction.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now the pairing, I'm going to give the pairing a 9.5.
Oh, wow.
Because
curveball.
Right. Because the flavor that's there with the cigar when I do get smoke through it, then going to the whiskey makes the whiskey like so much more enjoyable. Like the whiskey's great. I give it a 9. The whiskey's great on its own.
No one's attacking you.
But then I'm just explaining to the listeners. But then going cigar to whiskey, like you're sitting there thinking that a cigar this rich, but also with this kind of strength, you're almost worried because we've had that past experience. You're almost worried it's going to be too much for the palate.
Yeah.
But because the profile, I think more so of the whiskey than the cigar, the pairing together, all of a sudden that sweetness of the whiskey is heightened there at the front of the palate.
Yeah.
And so it makes the whiskey even more enjoyable than it already was for me.
Yeah, I would agree. That pairing is fantastic. We've got some.
What a shit stir.
We've got some friendly fire, let's call it, on the
absolutely.
The comment.
Nothing
here.
but friendly.
Got Ann Dimmick and Aaron Harris and some friendly fire there. The whiskey. So this one, I didn't know what to expect with this bottle, being such a higher proof. Obviously, when you see it, it says straight rye. So the one thing I will say, this is not a bad thing, but I'm making sure I'm not going to miss speak here. Yeah. So you don't disclose mash bills on the bottle.
No, not on the bottle.
So we went recently. We did like the Bardstown, and they're very transparent on there. So not knowing what to expect, I did have a chance on like fortunately to read the spec sheet, from the distillery that they gave us. So I didn't know what to expect when rye and all that stuff. People, like, as a consumer, you see straight rye, and it says even like you throw out 100% on some of the descriptions here. Just it's interesting with that mash bill. You don't know what to expect going into this bottle.
Sure.
But as you read into it, and then as you sip it, you're like, okay, this is unique for a reason because of that mash bill. The 57%, I believe it is rye.
Yep.
Decent amount of corn as well. And so there you've got a unique mash bill that it works. So for me, the whiskey, especially as I've gotten into it, this is a sipper. This is a nightcap bottle. This is not a summer barbecue bottle.
Oh God, no.
At least not for me.
Might have a
You'll
heat stroke.
You'll be sweating.
Yeah. You don't want to drink this while you mow the lawn.
Yeah.
But
It'd be an
You
interesting.
could use it to run the lawnmower.
yeah, correct.
It'll be an interesting pattern in the grass.
Tell you what. But no, it's as I've gotten into it, it's pushing me towards, and I don't know why I'm thinking this way, but it's starting to get after a few drops of the water in there, and this being the second glass, it's got these like really good notes. I'm actually getting a little bit more like cherry coming from it. So my mind is like already like transforming into, as I'm sipping this, it's like Manhattan cocktail flavors.
Yeah.
Obviously not, it's stronger, you know what I mean? Like you've got a little more spice on it, but I'm like starting to get more notes, surprisingly, that come from when you do a nice little heavier pour of a rye Manhattan. But I'm getting a lot of this coming from it. It's like I didn't get that at first, and now I'm getting more of it. I almost feel like, especially smoking the cigar, it's almost like I'm smoking a cigar with just this like balls out Manhattan in my glass. I don't know if you guys feel that at all or not.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I agree too.
A cocktail with some balls.
Yeah. And what we were talking about earlier, what I said earlier, it's so complex that even if you don't really love it right at first, keep sipping on it, let it sit. And it just keeps changing.
Give it 2, 3,
evolving.
Give it 2, 3, or 4 pours.
Yeah, exactly. Then everything tastes good.
All right, take 2 and call me in the morning. Cigar. My construction's good. I like this blend. This is actually, say, top 5. That's tough. Around the top 5 Drew Estate cigars for me. I'm a huge Liga Privada #9 fan. I really like some of the Herrera Esteli stuff, but I'd say this is top 5. I'll say top 5. I don't know where. It's going to be 4 or 5 probably on my list for blends coming out of Drew Estate. And again, I have not had the construction issues that Nate had mentioned. Not defending Drew Estate, but I just haven't had as many of them. But there's also been a lot of over the years, the transitions of the staff at Drew Estate, the acquisition, from Swisher from like basically the last 10 years, there's been a lot of ups and downs, and some of the blends that's like kind of been disappointments for me. This blend really brought me back to Drew Estate. So I'm going to give this cigar a good 8.5. The bottle, I didn't rate the bottle yet, did I?
No, you didn't.
The bottle, I'm going to say for what you're intending with, or what Watershed is intending with this bottle, I give it a 9. Throw this on a random shelf, not knowing what it is. Again, you don't know what to expect. You see, you guys wrote the percentage on there pretty big. You know what I mean? So if this was just a readily available bottle, which it's not, but it's on there 72.7%, and it's a $90 bottle, I'm going to buy it just because almost a novelty at this point.
Yeah.
When you see the label. But I mean, for what you're intending, and hearing Ryan talk about this and what the intention was about putting this batch out, 9. It's very impressive. All the points you guys made, drinking below the 145 as far as the drinkability of it. This is a dangerous bottle just because I can see if we weren't getting ahead of ourselves and we were just hanging out here and we're just like, we only had that bottle on here, we could drink this all night. Shouldn't, but we could sip on this all night and have some good stories by the end of it, I'm sure.
For sure.
How's your couch feeling, Steve?
Well, that's why I'm not drinking a lot of it. So I don't want to end up on the couch, let alone you guys. But the pairing, I'm with you. The pairing is fantastic. I'm not going to go. You said 9.5.
I did.
I'll say the pairing is an 8.5. This is a solid pairing. I mean, the cigar being a 7-inch cigar and just having 2 pours of this or so, I'm going to run out of drink before I finish this cigar. The way mine's smoking, but the pairing of it, I am really, really pleasantly surprised that featuring this cigar, because they're going to be at the Smoking 10 event on March 16th, that this went well with besides the notes you guys sent us, I didn't know what to expect. So again, you see the label, you read about it a little bit, and you see the high proof. Looking at a humidor, even like a Tinder Box at Easton, 500-600 different options there. And I'm just like, I don't know what to pick for this.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very, very pleasantly surprised here. So, yeah,
Fantastic.
definitely. If you guys are cigar smokers and you do get your hands on this bottle, I would recommend trying this cigar. Maybe the Toro, or the Robusto,
Mhm.
Yeah.
just because, again, not encouraging a half plus bottle of this drink by yourselves.
Yeah. It's a great pairing.
Yeah, I was happy with it. So that being said, guys, I want to cheers you on the part 1 here. And again, watersheddistillery.com for this bottle. You can pour a little bit more in there.
Boy.
Gotta have something to cheers to,
Yes, you do. And I encourage you guys to do the same. If you're listening live, we're going to take a quick intermission. We'll go to part 2 here. And the title here, what are you excited for? Just a little preview there.
All right.
So that being said, guys, cheers. Happy Whiskey Wednesday.
Cheers.
Check out watersheddistillery.com for this lottery bottle here. And we will talk a little bit more here after the intermission. Cheers. Smooth. Just kidding. Very smooth. Very smooth.
Or almost like in the mask where you breathe out a fireball. That's the spicy
Yeah.
meatball.
Mhm.
It is. It is. All right. We'll be right back, guys, just momentarily here. Welcome back, everyone. It's a quick intermission. We had to talk about you guys while we were off camera. Before we get started here, oh boy, got a YouTube comment. Put it up here. Hey, just wanted to stop in and say hey to a good friend, an amazing man, because I saw his post on y'all's podcast. Love you, Vinny, and might have to grab a bottle of that. LOL.
No.
All right, AB
Good luck.
RN 41. Thanks for tuning in and out. Shout out to Vinny.
Yeah.
Good luck to you in the lottery.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm not sure quite who that is, but I'm assuming that was referring to me. That was my nickname in high school. So it might
Vinny?
be somebody from, back in the day. So I'm not sure exactly who you are, but thanks, man.
Thanks, man. Good to see you. Picture of ABRN 41. If you are still out there, let us know who you are.
Yeah.
And how you know Vinny.
Man, I haven't heard that name in years.
It's pretty.
I hear that name
Well,
quite
thanks
often.
for ratting me out, Steve.
You just call me in the yard.
so much for
Holy
WITSEC.
Yeah. All right. What you learn on the podcast. So what are you
Tim,
excited
we are
for?
delighted to see you again next month for the Smoking 10 event. No, I'm used to hearing the name Vinny because there's a department manager at Carfagna's, which, again, Italian restaurant. Yeah, there's a department manager whose name is Vinny. You've got Vinny, you've got Salvatore, you've got Carmine.
I'm watching The Sopranos right now. Seriously, I am. That's what it makes me.
Dino.
That's right. That's right. Tony.
Uh,
Got to be a Tony somewhere in there. All right,
No.
can we crack this?
Yeah, we can.
The maple syrup.
Absolutely.
The maple syrup. And like
that one should be already open.
you guys
that
were-
one came from my personal collection.
you guys
Oh,
talk about.
thank
So
you.
at Carfania's, we actually do have a maple syrup that's finished in a bourbon barrel.
Yeah.
And when we first brought that in, some of the staff like got a bottle and poured it into a little plastic cup and was like, dude, you gotta try this. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's exactly what this guy did for us. Yeah, so we dumped the bourbon out, sent the barrels to him. He did a barrel-aged maple syrup, and then we took them back, put bourbon back into it.
And we're gonna get started here for part 2. But Tim Dodge, love the fact, again, talking about the Smoking Tent event. We've got a great Bourbon and BS community page on Facebook, and a lot of these guys, some of them are from the area, some of them know each other through the podcast and the Tinder Box Easton. But that Bourbon and BS community page has just been fantastic since 2019, and we've been together now for 4 years plus. Really took off during COVID. Loved the fact that when we brought the Smoking Tent event back in 2022, after a 2-year hiatus due to COVID protocol and yada, 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 but that was like a reunion for people that hadn't even met before. I don't know, we never talked about that, Ryan, but we had people coming from Philly. We had someone in Ray Cheshire who lives in Vietnam now. He and his wife came over, planned a trip to visit family in the U.S., including a stop at the Smoking Tent event. You got Lou McGinnis, and
we had Sean Anderson from Tennessee.
Sean Anderson's on here. Lou lives down in Cincy area. You got Tim Dodge, who was local, but then he moved down to South Carolina. He's coming back up for that weekend again.
Yeah.
He's got to think my girlfriend, even though he's happily married. They both went to Illinois. University, yeah. And when they finally met, Chris always says, like, Tim's like Kristen, like, it's like they're like
like they've known each other for
Like when
20
we saw
years.
each other yesterday.
Yeah. And then I think Tim sent me a picture of him and Chris, and he's like, "Hey, have you met my girlfriend?" While I'm working the 10 event, I'm like, perfect. Here we go. But no, great to have you guys coming back. Tim's coming back from South Carolina. Like I said, Lou gonna come up from Cincinnati. So just great to have some people. Hopefully, I don't think Bobby's listening. Hopefully, we can see some boys from Philly back here, and it's been a great thing to see all these guys. Jonathan Herring was back. He flew up from Texas to go to the event. So
he showed up to go to the event, whereas in years past he had worked the event as a rep.
Correct. So great community out there. Welcome back to the Bourbon BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 304, part 2, Beyond the BS. We are still joined in the garage by Ryan Venrick here from Watershed Distillery in Columbus, Ohio. And he is the cask manager. We were sipping on, some people are still sipping on, I believe, a little bit. And this is not one to rush. This is the rye. No shots of this one. Watershed Distillery Rye Batch 002. So this is one that, just a review for those that, if you clicked on part 2 on the audio, sorry for all of you guys listening live the whole time to be redundant here, but we really like to focus on this. This is something that you guys can enter in. I'm going to put it on the screen again, but you can enter in for the lottery. It's now open until February 21st, and this is at watersheddistillery.com. You can enter the lottery. If you're picked, there's 100 winners, because that's the only amount of bottles they have is 100 bottles of this product, and this is going to be something that you will then have the opportunity to buy, and details are found on the website, but you have to buy it. You can always contact this distillery immediately to purchase it over the phone, and then pick it up at your convenience. I don't want to mislead anyone and say, if you're not there between those 4 hours, but if you don't contact them before the 24th and before 4 p.m., your bottle is now available for sale. So there's a lot of different ways you can get this bottle, but the biggest one is obviously watersheddistillery.com for that lottery. And I encourage everyone, even if you guys have curiosity towards it, enter. And if you win, you win. And, worst case scenario, you can call them or contact them and say, change my mind. Can you, give it to someone else?
We'll work with you, you know, but
something.
Like Steve said, if you don't call, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah. So,
Or just call them and say that you're going to let me buy the bottle, and I'll show up and I'll.
So Nate Hale's your proxy. My name's Nate Hale. I'm here to pick up 7 bottles for these people.
Oh, I'm pretty sure Jess would lose her ever-loving mind.
Especially once you start drinking it. I'm just gonna finish this bottle. There's half a bottle there.
Just
Nate.
one more.
Well,
just one more.
That's the problem I ran into over the summer. Is I was like, man, I got so many open bottles. I need to start getting rid of open bottles that would make room for like new bottles to put. And my problem is, I would sit there and a bottle would be half full or just over half, and I'm like, I need to work on finishing this bottle. What my mind heard was, we need to finish this bottle tonight. And it's like, no, that's not what I meant. But yet,
it's a lot of extra work. I mean,
sometimes that's what happened.
I feel like that's hard in general, though, especially if you're a collector. And
I'm not a collector.
I'm just saying for collectors, like myself, like I have so many bottles that, like, man, this one's open. I really need to finish it. But there's another bottle that looks really good. Like, it's just so hard to.
Well, and I recently finished a bottle that was very sentimental to me, and I opened for the first time 3 years ago when Steve and I were in Louisville.
Yeah, great bottle.
I had a friend over a couple weeks ago, and I had 2 pours left in that bottle, and I was like, you know what? Here, try this, because this is something you're never going to try again. And then I poured it for myself, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so good. Screw it, just finish it off. Here we go. I mean, like I said, there was 2 pours left in the bottle, but I was like, yeah, just go ahead and because that's, like I said, that bottle was very special to me, but I never drank that bottle by myself. I only shared that bottle with people. And Steve was the very first person I ever shared that with.
It was good. It was good. It was a good trip too.
Yes, it was.
Man, that's good. That's kind of leading into topic tonight. A few weeks back, Nate, remember we were talking and I kind of had I don't want to say a moment, but I was just like, where the fuck is the positivity? And I find that something that we always deal with. I feel as though we're already getting back into a slump a little bit, as from my vantage point as a society, people I know, and yes, it's the winter, even though we've got some nice weather right now.
That's what I was going to think is,
you got the winter going on right now, especially in the Midwest, but everywhere, people having some weather is different right now. Some people are blaming on climate change, whatever it might be. It's just historically just going to constantly change. There's been winters like this before with bad weather, different types of weather, different parts of the country, all that good stuff. But I'm not going to blame it all on that. It's just, you've got a lot. I'm going to paint this picture kind of like a negative thing right now. It's like, you got the weather, right? You got, you're 1 month down in the new year. Some people are making some good strides on what they wanted to do going into 2024. Some people have already lost their way a little bit. Some people are getting, kind of over. They're just getting beat down already. Any excitement you had going into the new year, you're already like, fuck it, I'm out. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of that going on. You got Valentine's Day coming up in a week, guys, girls out there. Valentine's Day coming up in a week.
See, I'm lucky. I'm married.
Warning.
I'm lucky. I married someone who's like, oh, today was Valentine's Day, and it's like 10 o'clock at night.
Doesn't mean that you, Nate, and anyone else can't just get a little card or maybe like a little whatever. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Some people are also, we've had Valentine's Day episodes before, and it's just like some people are kind of like they're alone on Valentine's Day, and it bothers them. They had a rough year. They just went through whatever in their life. But I think it's something that, and having Ryan on, you hearing about your job, and we're talking before the podcast, I already have an idea of like what you personally are excited for. Mm-hmm. We're in an election year here in the U.S. It's going to be another tough one here, boys and girls. I feel like we're going to have an interesting several months leading up to November again. And I'm hoping that everyone keeps their head on right and not just on a constant swivel, just kind of trying to navigate through it, but just keep kind of your head on right and firm with what you expect out of what's coming up, and just kind of keep a positive outlook. And so that's why I wanted to bring on tonight of, what are you excited for, and kind of throw it out to you guys in the audience. And I remind you guys to share this part 2 right now. If you're listening live, you want other people to listen, share it to people you think would enjoy it. So, and right now we are going to sip on. This is sold out, but this is part of, for those that you guys don't know or aren't familiar with it, this is the Watershed Distillery, part of their fall finishing series that you guys are going to be doing next year, you said? Is the plan?
Yeah, that's the plan right now.
And this is the maple syrup finished bottle here. And so we've toned it down to 114 proof from
only 114. Yeah,
we've gone down.
Tastes like water.
We've gone down 31 proof points.
This is dessert. We had our entree. Now we're on to dessert, right?
I'd like that.
All jokes aside, that's my first sip of it.
Please drink responsibly.
That is
special, huh?
Man, that's smooth. Yeah, that is.
Yeah. This was a fun one to make. Super fun. So I was telling these guys before we started, there was a lot that went into this project. So maple syrup finished bourbon. We kept everything in Ohio. We kept everything locally sourced, all the way from the bourbon that we make at Watershed to where the maple syrup's coming from. So I took the empty barrels up to our maple syrup vendor up around Canton, Ohio, where he does barrel-aged maple syrup. So he put his syrup in there for about 8 weeks or so. And then he would dump the syrup out. I'd go back up there, pick the barrels back up, bring them back to the distillery, put bourbon straight into those barrels.
Were these your barrels?
Yes.
So these were fresh barrels for you guys. You did what you did with them.
Yeah.
Then he used them, and now back to you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Start to finish, they were our barrels, our bourbon in it. Took them to him. He aged his maple syrup. I took them back, did some blends, put some bourbon into the maple syrup barrels, let them sit for a little while. About 3 months was the average, and then dumped them back out for a nice, sweet, I think I already said it, dessert type of
it's very
finish.
much so. And how long were they finished in it?
It was about 3 months. It was varying barrel to barrel. Because I actually didn't know this. I learned a lot about maple syrup in this whole process. There's actually, the syrup changes throughout the maple syrup season. I don't know. Yeah. So early on in the season, when they first tap the trees, the syrup is really I don't want to use watery, but it's really the color itself is light. It's almost like an amber color. And then as the trees keep producing that sap that they make the syrup from, it gets darker and darker and darker. So that was a challenge for me, just to figure out what profiles are going to go with what kind of syrup was in the barrels.
Interesting.
So I had to blend to the season of the syrup. And then once I was dumping the bourbon back out, we were done, finishing the bourbon in the syrup. I had to create more blends to figure out what those different syrup finishes were doing to the bourbon. It was a fun project overall. I had a lot of fun with it. It was a lot of work. But it really showed the quality of everything all the way around, from the syrup itself to the bourbon, all the way into the final product. It was a lot of fun.
So I'll say this based on what you just talked about. First of all, I thought that the rye here was going to be the dangerous bottle. It is. This is the dangerous bottle on the table right now.
I haven't even gotten to it yet. So,
and you have not tried it, right? You have a bottle.
I have a bottle, but I haven't cracked it yet.
This is a this is a sneaky one. This is going to be a trouble.
Yeah,
for like,
sure.
Drinkable. It's not that bad. We're still at 114 here, boys.
Yeah, we're still. It's not a sleeper.
It's not a sleeper. However, that's going to be dangerous. We'll see how this goes. But I when I hear Ryan talk about this, I love having you back on, Ryan, because with this being the topic, I remember our last interaction, most of it. But I remember our last interaction and just being like, how did this guy get this job? Like, I mean, not saying that you didn't know what you're talking about, but I'm like, just the passion you have for what you're doing, and just hearing now, when was the last time you were on?
Would have been April, right?
April. So
Yeah,
I mean, not
April.
quite a year, but I'm just like hearing you talk about these projects, and just like there's this passion, there's excitement about it, and that's why I was kind of interested to see, not only what you were talking about when you were sitting over there before the show, about how the personal stuff going on. And you're saying you're busy, but with this work, and talking about how you even came up with this bottle that we're drinking right now, which you had this whole fall finishing series, and trying the different stuff. And I mean, that's like the work day, not saying that it's not work still, but like, I know that, Nate, you and I have some great jobs, where we enjoy what we do. And it's not the highest stress job. It's fun. And we enjoy the products that we sell and talk about,
and sample.
But it's really fun hearing Ryan, you talk about, what you're doing and how these projects transpire.
Yeah.
I mean,
it really is, you already said it, Steve, like, how do you come into something like this? It's really something that it's more common now that, these kids nowadays are going to college and, they're getting degrees in chemical engineering. There's Kentucky has a whole program now.
Yeah.
Jim Beam has a whole institute for, learning how to distill. And before that, I mean, it was a lot of, it was secondhand knowledge, learning from the guy ahead of you.
Yeah.
All the stuff being passed down. You hear about all these
it's like farming,
but
right?
Yeah.
I think we've had two, not to cut you off, I think we've had two people on previously that have degrees in something like chemical engineering who are either
barrel bourbon.
So you got
Jeff the Creed.
Well, I was thinking Greg Snyder at Chicken Cock.
I think Greg Snyder and gosh, I'm drawing a blank.
The guy
on her
from
name.
Barrel.
Trip.
Yeah.
Trip, yeah.
She's sitting right here. The lady who owns Jeff the Creed.
Oh
with the
gosh.
butcher.
Oh yeah.
the
The bloody
corn.
butcher.
The
corn.
bloody butcher corn, yeah.
She had the degree, right? And the husband was the farmer.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So obviously, yeah, go ahead then. I mean, that is. I mean, there's some.
Yeah,
Definitely,
I mean,
it's the
before
thing.
all that, it's starting to be a thing now where you can get a lot of knowledge going into the industry. But before that, it was, you had to learn and you had to put in the time and the effort.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I got my start. I didn't start out day one at Watershed doing this.
Right.
I started out on the bottling line. I was packing cases every day, and just worked my way up from there. And luckily I had a pretty good predecessor before me. Taught me a lot. Was generous and kind enough to, let me sit in on his blending process and how he picks his barrels and how he goes about categorizing his samples that he's picking from. And the learning never stops. Just like with anything you're passionate about, it never stops.
Oh yeah.
As soon as you stop learning, you're pretty much plateaued. And so, yeah,
And you're bored.
Yeah. And you're
Honestly.
bored. I've read books, I've gone to classes, I've gotten certifications and maturation and done all these different things. And it pays off. The harder you work, the more it pays off.
Well,
the more rewarding it is.
And I think the need to constantly learn is it's not unique just to the spirits industry, but I don't want to say it's common either. But I think with where we are in spirits in this country, especially here in Ohio, as big of a bourbon market as we are, because we're the fourth largest bourbon market in the country.
Mm-hmm.
You have so many consumers out there that are looking for the next thing, the next thing that gets them excited. And so that's why I think it's one of the things. Same thing with cigars. Like, you can't just sit there and do the same thing that you've always done. We've seen a lot of, the legacy brands of cigars coming out with new products. I think some of the legacy brands of whiskeys, they've been coming out with new stuff, but it's not necessarily stuff that people are getting excited about. They've done a lot of flavored stuff, but I think that appeals to a different type of market than what their core is.
Some money there.
Yeah, they pay the light bills with that shit.
Yeah.
But I think with at least craft distilleries like Watershed, like it's not, trying to stay with the trends. It's finding the next one.
100%. I think I made a comment earlier to you, Steve, about you have to stay 3 years ahead.
Yeah.
That's a real statement. Like you have to, we're putting regular whiskey barrels away we're forecasting for 2028, 2029 already. And what our demand's going to be there. And so we have to stay years ahead of this curve. Sometimes it's a challenge, it's constantly innovating and constantly coming up with new ideas. But that's what makes it fun too, is being the first to do something or being the one of few that are doing that. So,
and you're also hoping that the consumer demand is there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it could.
Side, right?
Yeah, that's it's almost like a high you get. It's the risk reward. Like
you said,
man.
you said last year you guys put away more barrels than you guys ever had.
Right.
You're hoping that when those barrels come to maturation, there's a demand for
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
Otherwise, shit.
Absolutely. But that's another aspect of it that, you know, it keeps me going. At least I don't want to speak for other people, but that's what keeps me going is planning for that future and continuing to innovate. And, you know, is it going to work out? We think it will. We have a pretty good idea that it will, but you don't know until the time comes.
Well, I think that, you know, and not to, I know some people listen to this part. I mean, we're still talking whiskey here, and I'm good with that for various reasons. But I mean, that is something where you're excited for something like what you're talking about. But from the business side, I mean, you gotta have your goals, aspirations, what you're excited about. But the business side, I mean, for you guys, if you're setting that much stuff aside, right,
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of pivot a little bit, you know. So say things are slowing down a little bit, but you have some other distilleries. Like, not saying you will, but I mean, Watershed could start being a Central Ohio, like, people source from you guys. I mean, there's a lot of options there if you have good product there. I mean, the only thing, you know, knock on wood, is that you truly have something where, like, the market just it's a recession, like it's a housing market crash in the whiskey world.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta forecast the best you can. You can't predict the future. So I mean, sounds like you guys are doing things very well. You're excited about it. Like, not just you, but everyone at Watershed seems to just be that. I love the positivity, but also you gotta look at it in a smart way. You don't just go overboard with that. So
Yeah, no, absolutely.
a lot of different ways you can look at that, but I mean, it's
absolutely quality never suffers. That's always has to be the first. Yeah, we're putting away a lot of quantity, but if the quality isn't there to go along with the quantity, you're not going to be successful in the future.
You know, we saw that in the cigar industry during the cigar boom back in the late 90s, and like, people were just putting out shit.
Oh yeah, anyone who had money was buying tobacco. And
I feel like we saw it a little bit on the this is now going back probably, well, when we first started this podcast, right before that, honestly, 7 years ago, I thought everyone, when we had some of the distillery, like, we didn't have distilleries on, but like, we're having bottles that we're trying some different stuff. You start learning that we talk about, like, where they're doing like the half barrels, they're pressurizing it and different things. And I'm like, you're drinking this shit and you're like, okay, no, like, no, you guys are, you're not doing what we're talking about here, Ryan. It's like, they're not saying 2028. They're like, how can we accelerate this so that there's less of a risk and hopefully more of a reward? And it's like, well, the risk is that people start cracking your bottles and they're like, not buying a second one.
Right.
Those are the ones that are like, let's distill something now and crack it or bottle it in 2025.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
So that's where I like, you know, the trend in this industry is more of, you know, let's source a little bit, or like what Watershed did originally was, you know, you do the other products while you're aging your own stuff. I mean, there's different aspects of it, but I do like the excitement, the enthusiasm with that. Staying on the whiskey side of it, though, you know, real quick, there's a bottle is a great example, I feel like, right now, for those that are the whiskey people that are listening. The Traveler.
Yep.
So I've enjoyed that bottle, but that's been such a prime example of people that are like, okay, so Sazerac's got a name on this, right? You know, Buffalo Trace got a name on it. They're part of it. Chris Stapleton, you know, got his name on it, and he's a big name. It's a $40 bottle. And people in Ohio were starting to snatch it up right when it was released, and they're just going nuts over it. And then all of a sudden I started seeing on some of, like, I'm not on the trade, like the secondary, but like the bourbon pages, what we share a lot of this podcast to, and people started being like, yeah, no, it wasn't as good as I thought it'd be. And I'm like, okay, I can appreciate they're excited about a new product, but what were you expecting? Well, like, is this like going to revolutionize? Like, this is gonna be the best bottle you ever had? Like, you think that like Chris Stapleton like pissed in this vat to give it a little bit of this like his unicorn magic, you know what I mean? Like his music, his
I get a lot
that he has in the music industry, that he can't put out a bad song, and all of a sudden it's like his whiskey's not the best thing ever, and it's like solid $40 bottle to me.
Yeah, so
that's what I thought.
I get a lot.
This is pretty good.
I get a lot of people coming into Carfagna's looking for that bottle. We've been sold out actually the state has been sold out for the last 3 weeks.
When I was in Arizona, it was
The last time
Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, the last time we'd gotten it in, we had 8 cases, put it out on Friday morning, and that was sold out Sunday at 1:30. That's how fast 8 cases went. And then we were supposed to get 8 more, but during that week, the state sold out. Last week, the state supposedly got another shipment of it. So it's supposed, but every time I get people coming in looking for it, and I'm like, yeah, we're sold out of it. They start to, well, I've heard mixed reviews. What do you do you know anything about it? I'm like, yeah, I got half a bottle of it at home.
Yeah.
The people that I hear the more negative reviews on it are people that they were expecting a Buffalo Trace product. Like they thought it was Buffalo Trace. And it's like, read the label because it's there. It's blended by them. It's coming from multiple award-winning distilleries. So it's coming from all over the place. There was like 50 different blends. They picked blend number 40. Mm-hmm. And it's 90 proof. So then you have the people that are out there that are proof hunters, and they're disappointed in it because it's only 90 proof. But then you have people like Steve who are like, I just want to try it because, I mean, I know you're a big Chris Stapleton fan.
Yeah.
But then again, you're like, it's a new product. Like
I'm
I'm
also
kind
a
of
whiskey fan.
Yes, you are. And so like I bought a bottle, you got a bottle, Steve.
While listening to Chris Stapleton.
Yeah.
It's the American dream, right?
So
Absolutely.
I think people that had a different expectation going into it were like, okay, it's a solid bottle. Like it's good, $40. Okay, fine. Like that's like the, an entry level at this point, or maybe the low end of entry level at this point for a new product. But the reviews I've heard about something like that, it all depends on what people were expecting. I think the people that didn't like it, like their expectations were wrong.
No, okay. So, all right. Let me stay on this. Sorry, guys, real quick. Those that are like, stop talking about whiskey for part 2. However, so just out in Arizona visiting Kristen's folks, which was an amazing trip. One of the things that we stopped at a liquor store, of course, as we drove from the Phoenix airport to Cave Creek, and stopped at Scottsdale at Total Wine. And so you're in the bourbon department, and I did notice, I mean, they've got everything. I was even able to just buy a couple bottles of Eagle Rare, which I haven't seen in the wild in Ohio in, I don't know,
6 years.
Ever?
Yeah, ever. And there's Buffalo Trace on the shelf, and right next to that, like right near it was, or not, it wasn't, because they had a bourbon, and then anyways, they had the Traveler just on the shelf. And I was like, even asked Kristen's dad and brother, like, have you guys had this? Like, no, I've never heard of it. I was like, oh, it's new and all. Sounds cool, I was like, yeah, you can't get it in Ohio now because of 2 things. One, I think you thought this was going to be the greatest thing, but more importantly, in Ohio, unfortunately, they thought there was going to be a secondary market for it because it says Buffalo Trace and it says Chris Stapleton and it's new. So instead of buying a bottle to try, they bought 3 bottles, 4 bottles, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. They weren't as impressed with it. Bad businessmen, these drug dealers of the secondary world, is that they started bad mouthing it. You shouldn't have gone on your pages and bad mouth it. You should have sold the story. Oh my God, this is so great. Mm-hmm. Because then you'd have a secondary market.
Yeah.
And they'd be happy. So not only are they slightly disappointed because they thought this was going to be like the next best thing, I think they're disappointed that they're sitting on 4 or 5 different bottles because they snatched it all up because it wasn't allocated.
Start drinking it.
And now they're like,
might as well.
Well, I could sell it for what I bought it for. It's like, yeah, or just drink it. Enjoy it. Stop buying it. Stop trying to create something that's not going to be there.
Yeah.
Because that's what's happening in states like Ohio. So that was my 2 cents on it. Is I think there's disappointment sometimes when you think that it's going to be, what are you excited for? Why are you excited for it? You know what I mean? That's the big part of it. Are you excited for it because you're going to enjoy it? There's an experience there, or do you think that there's more to it than there really is? And so you're like almost like you're let down because you thought you're going to meet the ear muffet if there's any kids out there, which there shouldn't be listening to the show at this hour or at any hour.
Go to bed, kids.
But you thought you're going to meet the real Mickey Mouse at Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Some guy in a suit.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it. Wow. You know what I mean?
No, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. Like, because you just like, oh man, it's like as a kid, I was like so excited to like play like a Nintendo game that everyone was talking about. You know what I mean? And you like start playing, you're like, I don't like this at all. It's like, what do you think it was going to be?
Or like Santa at the mall.
Nah, I'm not going to get in the Santa conversation. It's not
Don't
the time
pull
of the
on
year.
beard.
Don't pull on the beard. It's a good thing. Chris Stapleton's beard either. Don't pull on that.
You might get
hit upside the head with a guitar.
Oh no, security's going to do worse than that.
Oh yeah.
No, security's going to do worse than that. Especially don't try to do it after you drank a lot of his whiskey, because man, that's going to be even worse. No, I think like that. So that's getting into all that stuff. I mean, like that we can like pivot a little bit or transition. Like, what are you excited for? I'm excited to try it. Like that's one of the great things about doing this show every week, is because we do try different stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Having Ryan on, you brought, the distillery basically allowed us to enjoy this bottle of the rye that's coming out here that you guys can enter a lottery for. You brought this this treat, this dessert of the maple syrup barrels, that went from your distillery to a local guy and back to you guys. I mean, I enjoy that part of it. But I think that you got to have those realistic expectations sometimes, that it's like you try bottles, not tonight, fortunately, but you got to drink it objectively. You know what I mean? You throw in the subjective side of things when you're excited about something. I feel like sometimes you're going to really like pump yourself up almost over the top, where you're building up unrealistic expectations.
You're almost setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah. So right now I'm looking forward to, just had this great trip with Kristen to see her folks in Arizona. And I honestly, she has shown me pictures and videos, and I was like really looking forward to this. And I'm expecting to enjoy this. I've already met the family, and I'm cool. It's great. But going out there, I didn't like lower my expectations, but I went out there and I'm really looking forward to this. We got out there and I was just blown away by the scenery, by, experiences with the family. This first time that it's just been me with her family by themselves. And it was such a great trip, because I feel as though I was excited about it. But maybe it's an age thing. Sometimes it's not like, oh, this is gonna be the best trip ever. You know what I mean? Like this, I can't wait to see the mountain. I had no idea. I just was really looking forward to it. And we have another vacation planned. And in the meantime, we got the Smoking Tent event, which we've talked about on the show, which I'm excited about that. But again, I'm looking forward to all these things. But it's like, we got the Smoking Tent event coming up. I've got a trip with Kristen at the end of April. We're going to another all-inclusive. And, you look at all of these reviews, and I see the same things that we were just talking about, like the Traveler thing, the whiskey, where it's like, oh, the food was okay, but I was expecting a lot more. And then you start like reading this person's review of the resort, and you're like, yeah, it's an all inclusive. Were you expecting like a 5-star, restaurant? If you were, you should be paying a lot more than what you paid for this all inclusive.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, the drinks are fine, but I was expecting a higher, liquor level of stuff, and I'm like, they're not. Like, if they're gonna be giving out, like, say, just because it's simple and everyone knows what, like Johnny Walker Blue, like they're not gonna do that for, if you have the base room, like they're not gonna do it for $400 a night.
Yeah.
Where they're gonna be feeding you and giving you unlimited drinks. Like, this isn't gonna be, prime cuts of beef in a third world country, mind you. And then on top of that, they're going to have bottles of booze that are $200, $300, $400 that you're just going to be like, yeah, I'll take, I'll take that. No, I don't like that. Send it back. It's like realistic, but I'm so excited about it, because I know what I'm expecting. And I know that the people that I'm with are going to just like make it so much better. So that's what I'm excited about. I just think it's like realistic expectations.
Yeah.
I think work's 100%. The same way. I think anything's the same way.
For sure.
Nate, what are you excited about? What are you excited for?
Well, so, I mean, I'm excited where I go from here in my career. Yesterday, I had a one-on-one with my boss, and accomplished the main objective that I set out to when I started working there. And it was kind of ironic that yesterday, when I received that news, was also the 1-year anniversary of me working there.
Been that long already?
It's been a year.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gone by rather quick. Now, granted, I'll be honest. My one-on-one with my boss lasted over an hour.
Did you talk more than
my boss.
Okay.
My boss.
Okay.
And most of it was not the most positive.
Okay. Before you topic, were you excited about this meeting?
So
big pause.
I was so like
pause.
so a couple weeks ago when they announced like, hey, I'm gonna start scheduling some one-on-ones with you guys. I was like, all right, cool. Hopefully I hear some good news because we're like 6 months overdue from getting the news I was expecting to get.
Okay.
And then like right before my boss walks out and he goes, all right, give me a few minutes. I need to collect my thoughts. And I'm like, oh shit. And then, a few minutes ended up
not prepared to deliver what he prepared.
No, a few minutes turned out to be like more than 20. So like that entire like 20 plus.
You were working during that,
I was working during that
so
time.
you were like just sitting like in a task chair, like in a waiting room, like waiting on the doctor to give you like news.
I was working, but it was because of the time of day it was slow. So it just left me there to think, which that was a dangerous thing because then
you have music in the background playing at least.
Oh yeah, there was music going.
It's a little bit of like comfort there.
Yeah, some
silence would be worse.
Yeah.
Get that little bead of sweat that starts coming down.
The movies that are like slow mo and someone like standing there like doing this.
Oh yeah.
You can stop that, please.
But yeah, and then like right before the meeting, my boss pulled someone else in the department into another room to have a conversation. I'm like, all right, if they're pulling this person into a room to have a conversation right before I have my one-on-one, I kind of get the feeling they're going to talk about me, which was the case. So that made me
like traveling this last weekend. It's like you get like pulled aside by TSA and you're like in the back, you know what I mean? Like,
do I have drugs on me?
I don't do drugs, but I don't know if do I have an Uzi
on me? Like, what the fuck is going on?
How many knives did I have in that carry-on?
Yeah. So there were a lot of things, racing through my head. And, like I said, not everything in the meeting necessarily was positive. There were a lot of things brought up that I need to work on. There are some reasons why I have some of the issues I have, that people brought up. What I'm looking forward to is now that I have achieved one of the main goals I set out to achieve when I started at Carfagna's, my hope is that because of that, the issues that I was having, those will go away because I feel like because I was new there, I feel like I was doing certain things in order to try and prove myself. Now I don't need to do that.
Dude, feedback is so important. That stuff is like, to your point, have you had one-on-ones before? Or is this the first time?
At Carfagna's first time.
So not it is a one-on-one, but it's like more of like a review.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like when I think of like one-on-ones, like back in like when I was working in an office, it was like I would have one-on-ones with people that were like weekly, touch base type stuff. I hated that.
I used to have that AEP like every 2 weeks.
Yeah. So we had like one-on-ones, and like especially when I was in the leadership roles and I was meeting with the people that reported to me, because I disliked the annual reviews growing up in that company, where it's like I walk in there and I'm like, I'm not expecting a 10 out of 10, right? Just because I realized, that I'm still growing. I was younger in the company, but then I got my first. The scale was like, 3 to 4 out of 10 is like meeting expectations, and like 4 out of 5, I'm like, so I got like a 3.7. It's like, yeah, you're doing a great job. I'm like, this is out of 10.
Yeah, that's failing.
I would have been held back
in
school. But it was like they bring up stuff that was like 7 months ago. And I'm like, why didn't you bring that up 7 months ago? And then I could have responded to it. So I don't.
So that's actually something I brought up.
And then don't get too far into like, in case someone from the company's listening.
No, but that is, because
anyone up here.
Because I was asked for feedback, because this is a newer thing there, and we're like the only department that does it. And
Company's growing quickly.
yes, and so that's one of the things I said is like, if someone comes to you with an issue or you notice an issue, bring that to me ASAP, so that way I can correct that issue immediately, instead of that issue continuing to build and build and build and possibly creating animosity with other coworkers. So that way we can go ahead and just nip that in the bud, and we can develop and grow from there. And they were excited to hear that. But no, yeah, I accomplished because my boss had asked me, he's like, do you have any questions? And I brought up, something because it was part of something I've been looking forward to. Initially there was a certain time frame.
Yep.
We had passed that time frame. So I brought it up again. He goes, well, funny you said that, like, here you go. I was like, okay, cool. Hopefully now I don't need to, do some of the things I was doing that kind of caused friction in the department. Like, okay, cool. Got what I got. It's what I wanted.
You got feedback and constructive, hopefully, criticism. And at the same time, you got a little reward.
Yes.
It's not bad. That's not quite what, they talk about like in the corporate world, like a shit sandwich. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna give you some positive, and then I'm gonna give you this dig.
We'll let you have it.
But you're doing this, you know what I mean? I'm not saying it was that, but I like that though, because to your point, you said it was like a newer thing for them, and they're kind of doing that. And it sounds like communication, because I think a lot of times when you're looking like things that you're excited for, even like especially with you, like having your year in, surprisingly, I can't believe it's been a year. Time does fly, but it's like, I remember you talking about getting this job, and I remember you talking about like how excited you are. People that listen every week, you can see all that and how it's transpired over a year already. But it's like when you're excited about something, it should be two-sided, especially when there's other parties involved, because that's how you keep the excitement. If someone's excited, that excitement fades really quickly if it's not met with any reciprocating feedback, or even a attaboy, or something where it's just not, you just walk in like, am I doing well? Like, am I, like, no one's giving me anything here. Like, I don't know. I think I'm doing a good job, but maybe I'm not. Like, this person didn't talk to me this last week. Like, did I piss them off? Like, it's just like, always communication is such a big thing. But like when you have this excitement and drive to do something, you want to see some sort of results. And sometimes you're not in a position that you see all the results, whether it be like the sales or the finances or anything like that. Like, is the company doing well, but just having just a touch base, just having some, hey, good job on that. I really like what you're doing here. Or, hey, let me pull you aside. It's always in the business world for me. And it's always you praise in public and you discipline or give constructive criticism in private.
Mm-hmm.
But both of those are so valuable. And even if you give me praise in private, that
goes a long way.
It goes a long way, because just like anything, when there's more than just you involved, that communication and just the expectations, and also just talking about the results, just a touch base.
Yeah.
How's the other party feeling?
Well, and I think sometimes when you don't necessarily get that positive feedback, like then you find yourself where like, okay, I did this. I think this is good. Let me bring this up. I want to say this, like, hey, I just took care of this. And sometimes, you're going into it going, hey, I just took care of this. Like, I think it's a good thing. And they're like, well, no, the reason we hadn't done that. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, I thought I was doing something good. And here I am getting.
But what really takes the wind out of your sails when you're excited about something is when the other party says way later, and you're excited, you think you're making them happy. You're making the company happy. You're pumped about what you're doing. And then all of a sudden, you've been doing it for a while, and then they finally like pull you aside, and they're like, "So this isn't so good." And you're like, "Oh, why didn't you say it earlier?"
Yeah,
I don't know. I think
like,
the constant communication. So what's that?
Tell me that. Well, and also I think
because you have a chance to respond to that point and be like, "Oh, well, I like doing it this way. So if you don't like this, then maybe this isn't the greatest fit."
Well, and I also think it shouldn't be up to your boss to bring those issues up. If other coworkers in your company have an issue, they should come to you with that issue instead of just going to your boss with that issue, because there's a different way to take that when it's, someone you work with coming to you with an issue like, hey, you did this, like I didn't really like the way you did that, and then the two of you have a conversation about it and never has to go any further.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in some businesses you'll have people that'll just immediately go to the boss and say, hey, Nate did this, I don't like that.
Right.
And then the boss doesn't necessarily bring it up, and then it's like, oh,
right.
I didn't know that was an issue. I've been doing that for the last year. Like, I wish someone would have said something earlier, because then I could have corrected that issue.
Got to be a constant touch base. Just like if you're doing something and you don't see a doctor for a checkup for 5 years, and they're like, your cholesterol's high, or like, hey, like, you're like, what are you doing? You're like, well, I was told to eat more red meat, but like in the classic thing, it's like I eat steak, 6 out of 7 nights a week, and I put a lot of salt on it, and I drink a half bottle of whiskey every night, and they're like, so stop first. You know what I mean? But like,
which part?
these are not personal examples for me. I'm not just, my point is that you gotta have the constant checkups, because if you start seeing something like creep up, or there's something that's not good going on, you don't want to wait for it to get to the extreme. You know what I mean? Where it's you doctor's like, we need to take action. The company says, we're letting you go. We're not getting in a relationship. But like, I'm calling it, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, it's all of these things. Or worst case scenario, obviously, is if like all of a sudden you're living your life a certain way and you have a major health issue. You're excited about what you're doing because you're feeling good about it. You're like, I'm excited about it. I'm enjoying this. And you're detrimental to whatever arena in life you are. What are you excited about? I mean, like, what are you excited for?
Well, I was telling you guys earlier, this is a big year for us. And by us, I mean me and my fiance. This is the year that we're getting married. We've been engaged for about 1.5 years now. It's an exciting time. We did a lot of planning when we first got engaged, which was very exciting to get the ball rolling with that. And then there was like kind of a lull. We got the bulk of the stuff done. I use we very loosely too. My fiance is an angel, and she does the bulk of the planning. I just try not to mess anything up. So really she gets most of, and by most I mean all the credit. But yeah, now we're kind of back into the swing of things.
90-10. Let's not rule you out completely.
I picked out the wedding cake.
I tasted the wedding cake.
Oh no, I picked mine out.
But yeah, so now we're getting married in May.
Be like, pick something. Sorry,
right.
Get married in May.
Yeah,
How
so
long
about
you been engaged?
A little over a year now. We got engaged in December of 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're about 90 days away. And yeah, now we're starting to pick things back up. Like, okay, now we have to start, getting in touch with that's my fiance. Getting in touch with all the vendors again, making sure catering is all squared away. Starting to figure out our guest list. Invites went out.
There was a lull there, you said?
Yeah. So when you first do it, you get all your vendors aligned. You pick your caterer.
Do the engagement.
Exactly.
Okay.
You get all those.
When you propose.
Yes, exactly. You get everyone booked. Basically, you get your date squared away and locked in. And as it gets closer, you start to work out details. Okay, we have to pick a cake.
That's
you have
the lull.
to. Yeah, that's
Okay.
the lull where you have to get into the specifics, and that's kind of the stage we're in now. So it's a whole new excitement level for us.
Yeah.
May.
In May. Yeah.
Ooh.
In May.
Let's go.
So it's getting there. Getting everything in touch and squared away
Save
for
the
that.
dates are already out.
Save the dates are out. Invitations are out.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. She got her bridal shower set up. Doing all
Bachelor party?
we're not quite there yet. We're starting to get into talks for that. That's not
trying
really
to rush you. Yeah.
I hope your bachelor party is much more exciting than mine was.
What are you excited for?
right. But yeah, it's a big year for us. And then we're taking we're doing a family vacation this year instead of just us. So we're going to go on vacation with her and her family. So that's something we've never done before, and that's really exciting for us.
How many people are going?
There's going to be about 7 to 8 of us.
So it's you and
me and my fiance, and then her dad is going. And then her sister and husband and 2 kids are going.
You're not going
all
on
her side.
You're not going on a hunting trip, are you? All right, you're good.
No. We're going to sit lakeside.
Love it.
So yeah, over the summer. So that's following shortly after the wedding. And then obviously we have the honeymoon after the wedding, and just a lot of stuff to get excited for.
Not stressed at all, stressed a bit.
I mean, there's always a level
about. What are we stressed about here?
Of making sure everything goes as planned, or as close to as planned as possible.
Sure.
There's always things that happen leading up to it that are out of your control. You just try to minimize how many of those occurrences happen. So yeah, there's always that anxious level, that stress level, but I like to call it good stress. Kaylee might disagree with me a little bit on some of that stuff.
She's doing everything.
But yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, I remember like my wife and I, we'd gotten engaged in August and got married the following December. So just over a year.
Oh, sorry.
The next.
Got it.
So yeah, we got engaged in 2009, got married in 2010, but like we had a lot of that stuff. We had a lot of that stuff nailed down like months before the wedding. So
couldn't be more true.
Kaylee?
I mean, yeah, Kaylee.
We had because I think he is stressed about my stress.
Like she had her dress picked out, she had the bridesmaids gowns all set up. Those were all made. Venue, catering, everything was done. So the crazy thing was, like for me, because her and I used to work together. So at the time leading up to the wedding, neither one of us were working at the same place. So a lot of my coworkers who knew her, like they would keep asking me like, "Hey, you excited?" I'm like everything's taken care of. Like I had coworkers getting pissed at me because I wasn't stressing out about it. And I'm like, why am I stressed out about it? Like
there's some stuff going on at home, man.
Yeah, like everything was taken care of. Like, what am I stressed out about? Like everything's on track. We're good. Like, why am I trying to make a bigger deal out of this?
It's like when someone like asks you, and you're like, "Why are you in a bad mood?" And you're like, "I'm not in a bad mood."
Are you? And like, yeah.
But then they're like, "But I just feel like you're in a bad mood." And like,
how are you doing?
Yeah. It's like I just feel like you're upset. Like, well, I'm starting to get upset.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to convince you that I'm not upset about anything. I'm having a good day, but the more you ask me,
yeah, now you're starting to piss me off.
Now I'm upset.
Yeah,
now I'm upset. Now I want to know why you're upset.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess I would categorize our stress and anxiety as good stress and anxiety if that exists.
I think it's part of the excitement, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what makes it
exciting.
A
little bit of the jitters, you know what I mean? Like little, but it's like butterflies, early on in a relationship, you have that butterfly feeling where you're just like, I'm nervous.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm pumped.
Yeah, definitely. And I told you guys before the show started, we also just recently moved. So
good thing you're not doing everything at once.
Right.
It's nice. You take one thing at a time.
Yeah, exactly. That was a whole
separate. Move, you plan for a wedding, you get a dog, you get a house, you get a boat.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It was that whole process itself was stressful, yet very rewarding at the same time. Another one of those good stresses that, we got our dream home. We have our dream life. Were you
living together before this?
We were.
Okay.
Yeah, we were.
At least you're not going and moving in together with a new house.
Right. No. Yeah. We'd lived together for a few years before we bought a house together.
Nice.
So yeah, a couple in, not really, we moved before the turn of the year, but kind of to go into the calendar year coming up. It's an exciting time for us. Yeah, we're enjoying it. We're enjoying the ride.
I love that. How old are you?
I'll be 33 this year.
That's wild. Kids?
No kids for us. No.
First marriage on both?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, we're kind of living life for ourselves and enjoying each other's company and, doing what we want to do.
Love it. That's fun. I mean, I like the way you described that. Like I said, it's like, what are you excited for? It's to what I was saying, like you are just almost over expecting. You're just like you said, you're living your lives for yourselves. You got your head on your shoulders. You're doing things and taking some risks, right? I mean, you're taking some big steps. I mean, these like people talk about that sometimes, and I don't want to take a negative spin on that, but it's like sometimes people go into it with like kind of unrealistic expectations, like I was saying earlier, and it's like, oh, this is going to be easy. This could, oh man, like this is my partner, and this is the. But you have to have the real conversations. With all this stuff is, the wedding is a little different, right? To your point, I think a lot of the times there is a little bit of the stereotype where, it's her day.
Yeah.
So you are not, I don't want to say, don't ever say like, yes, ma'am, but like, you're just like, no, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Do you want me to have an opinion on this?
Yeah. Well, I think that's what's really important though about finding, your person is, I couldn't ask for a better partner. Everything that goes into planning, I keep saying that she does the bulk of the planning, but every step of the way, she's asking my opinion. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's important because she also realizes that it's your day too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one of those things that I tell her all the time, and she's probably tired of hearing it, that, we could just go to the courthouse and sign some papers and that would make me happy, but it's very important to have that experience too. And I know that's important to her. And I'm glad that she wants my involvement in it.
She wants you to be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she's hoping you show up. That day.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part of your role, I'd say, right there, is that there she wants you to be there.
I think one of the great things for me on my wedding day that kind of helped ease the day was, so we all showed up at the venue. The guys did the pictures, the ladies did the pictures, but while the ladies were doing the pictures, that's why there will be
that was my decision. Yes. PSLs all day long,
but like maybe a little bit of Watershed at the bar.
But like
you created.
They have a liquor license, so I can't bring my own Watershed. Unfortunately, we'll do that before we get to the venue.
We need to
it's
start a
so
petition.
It's weird that, like, if you it's the way, the way liquor laws works. If they have a liquor license, you can't bring alcohol on site.
They can buy Watershed.
They can, yes.
They will buy Watershed.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll have to have a.
I've got some bottles lined up for day of that me and the groomsmen will, before we go on site, we'll indulge a little bit.
Between now and May, we need to know where you're getting the reception. We'll see if we can invite them on the show. We'll get you on. We'll get
there we go.
Here.
There we go. I'll hold you to
sales
that.
pitch here.
Well, like one of the things that helped me, to kind of calm my nerves a little bit before the day. Like I said, we all showed up at the venue. What? No. Well,
alcohol.
No, because I wasn't as into whiskey as I am now. Let's not read too much into that. But no, like while the ladies were all getting their pictures done, myself and my 3 groomsmen were all up in the loft, and we were sitting around a round table playing poker. And so we were just playing poker, having a good time. My dad would put on some music, and the funniest thing was my dad would put on, he's like, hey, let's listen to some Led Zeppelin. And one of my groomsmen, who's my age, is like, who's Led Zeppelin? And I'm like, are you fucking serious? How are you one of my groomsmen? You're number 2 out of 3.
Get out.
You're now 3 out of 3. You've been demoted. You're not you stand at the end. In fact, face the other way.
But no, like that was a great thing, like just to ease the mood and and help kill time, because it took your mind off of things, because it's a stressful day sometimes, but I think sometimes it's stressful because other people put more stress on you than there should be.
100%.
Mm-hmm. But I was comfortable with everything going on. I wasn't worried about anything. And then yet, and Steve, a little bit more inside than other people do, but we can't say it on air.
I don't know where this is going,
but like there was still a time where, during the ceremony, like there was still a time where for some reason, like my knees started wobbling or almost locking up.
Not whiskey.
Not whiskey.
Okay,
I had
just trying to narrow this down.
I had not consumed any
viewers
alcohol
at
at that point. Like, but no, it was just more. It wasn't. I wasn't nervous about getting married. It was more like I'm doing this in front of 120 people. Like that's what I was more nervous about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so whiskey does help, just for those at home, within moderation.
Just to throw that out there.
Maybe one sip.
I do.
One sip of this. I can also attest to whiskey helps if you're a best man at a wedding. Speech goes easier. But I love hearing these stories because it's fun. Damn, man, it's okay to have fun. It's fun to have fun.
Yeah.
Part of being human is to be excited for others, and just like you said, to hear other stories of what people are excited for. It's like that's cool. Yeah, that's all. Like that's a good thing. Yeah, exactly. That's the word.
It's infectious to hear that, and it's also sadly infectious to hear when people are down constantly, or it's you know what you're walking into, and it's like you have hopes, and you're like, hey, you know, morning, how are you? And then it's like, oh, it did go the way I didn't want it to go. Like they're just not good. And then they ask you, and you're like, I want to be the opposite, but I asked you first, and so I'm not gonna like make you.
You don't want to be that asshole. That's
I don't
like,
want to make you feel worse.
Well,
because like, things are great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, your life is in your mind sucking.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not gonna try to convince you otherwise. Like there is. I think it is. It's infectious, and I think what are you excited for? There's a lot of those classic things, right? You try to surround yourself with people, whether it be work, home, otherwise. It's just like friends. You want that support system. You want that, and also I feel as though you want to be that support system for other people. It is tough sometimes when things aren't going easily, and it's okay to have a moment for yourself on that front there, but that's where you have to assess what's going on in your life, with your personal life, you personally, and then the significant other or the family around you, the friends around you, and the job and all that stuff. It's like, because you do need to make some changes. And I think that's the biggest part of this is that, what you're going through, but like what you are going through, right? Is that these are changes in your life.
Mm-hmm.
These are strides. This is what you want.
Yeah.
And I haven't known you all that long, but you said you're 33.
But we'll be 33. Yeah.
32 years old. And it's like, you're going through all this stuff. And it's like, how long have you been with Callie?
We are coming up on 3 years this month, actually, on the 20th.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
I think it's fun to see that when you have someone that but you're not that close to. Like I know you, and Nate knows you, but we're not like super close. But you hear positive things, and I think that seeing someone else's excitement about all this stuff, no matter what you've been through in your life, you got to take that as medicine a little bit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like take it as a little bit of a supplemental type of a positivity, no matter what's going on in your life. Don't push it away. Don't belittle it. Don't just say, well, I'm happy they're happy. It must be nice. I hate that must be nice thing.
Yeah.
It's like, love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love this right now. Like, I love hearing that.
Look at other people's joy as a joy to you.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, all right, someone you're close to, someone you work with, like, hey, they're going through a great thing. Be happy for them.
Yeah.
Just because you're unhappy doesn't mean you get to piss all over their happiness.
Right.
Like,
why would you want to?
But there are some people, I think, that they're so miserable in their life, they can't stand other people close to them being happy, because it makes them feel less.
Yeah.
But what they should be doing is like, hey, things aren't necessarily the best for me. I'm happy things are going great for you.
Yeah.
Because I wish I had that. And maybe that causes a motivation for them to make things better for them.
Yeah.
But instead, I think it's more recent. People sit there and they're like, you're happy? I'm unhappy. you should be as miserable as I am. Fuck your
It's
happiness.
not new, but I think that, oh, man, I don't think that's new. I do think that if it's not new, I think what we should make new is to ride the waves of other people.
Look at other people's happiness and sit there and go, man, that person's happy. What makes them happy? Okay, if I can't have that, what's the next thing? Like,
Right.
what do I need to do? Maybe it makes them have an inward reflection. Be like, what do I need to do to be as happy as that person is?
Well, like when you're not happy, when you're not excited for things, what do you do to make yourself happy? You go and hang out with people who get you excited.
You should.
You should. Well, yeah, you should.
There's also the saying that misery loves
Or
company.
you can sit at home and,
So-
and you can pout. Yeah.
Yeah. We got those two sides, but I got to take this to the bit more of the pop culture thing where, Nate, I think you're coming over on Sunday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is Jess coming over?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So hosting again, Super Bowl party. And what blows my mind.
Hopefully we don't have any car issues this year.
All right. Jesus.
I'll have to
But-
dive into that after the show's over.
No. No, but my thing is that what's so funny is that something that's pure entertainment drives so much stigma in so many ways. And I look at, people are literally unhappy that it's like even the Chiefs versus the 49ers. And you start asking questions, and it's like, why? Well, I don't like the Chiefs. Like, why don't I like the Chiefs? Because, I mean, they've just been there so many times. I don't like Mahomes. I don't like Kelsey. It's like, what are the rest of the guys on the team? Wait a second. Wait, why don't you like Mahomes? Wait, why don't you like Kelsey? What's your problem with Taylor Swift on going there and they're dating? Like, what do you not like about the 49ers? Like, I just don't. They're just too good. They shouldn't be there. I'm like, on the entertainment front, that's fun because of all that stuff. But it's like, you should. It should be a good football game. This is fun. These are people that are in their 20s that we're watching play a kids game, making a lot of money.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you wish it was you. You know what I mean? It's I'm like these guys, to me, it's like these kids are having the fucking times of their lives. This is great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to having people over the house. I'm looking forward to, all this stuff. And I'm going to do my best to help, Kristen, she's a big hostess, so she's done a lot of grocery shopping and all that stuff. I need to clean up this garage so we can pull it on the screen and watch it on the projector out here. I'm going to do my part, but it's like, I'm really excited about this. I'm looking forward to a good game. I'm looking forward to this. And it's like, even that negative stigma that you're, like that negative attitude that you were talking about, that people bring into that. It's like, if you're going to be like bad mouthing the teams and, screw this team, fuck that team. Like, I hate this and I hate how happy they are and all. Like, I think it's just don't come. Don't come to my house. Like, if you want to come here, you want to make a bet how many times they show Taylor Swift on the screen? I'll take that bet. I'll take an over-under on that. You know what I mean? I don't fucking care.
Is there that on DraftKings, like an over-under?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
I don't know if it's on DraftKings. It's probably on some like bootleg site. But I'm looking
go
forward to it.
contact your
We'll
local
start it in the garage. You know what I mean? Like, let's throw it in. Like, over-under what? Who wants to claim it? 7, 8, 9? What is it?
Yeah.
I'll throw a couple bucks on it.
Yeah,
I enjoy the game.
To your point, Steve. Yeah, we Kaylee found a actual statistic, surprisingly or not, that
she found a gambling site
that
will.
No. We're not gamblers in our house. We like our money.
RyanBendrick.com. And you gotta use a password. DM me for the password.
I like it's marketing from this guy, man. Free advertising.
It's on Twitter. It's now called that.
No, look, what to your point about people, just being unhappy for no reason, and
there's always a reason.
There's always a reason, but
I know what you're saying.
We found a statistic about the Taylor Swift and Kansas City Chiefs thing that the average time that she got screen time for the Chiefs 13 seconds.
Yeah,
13 seconds average, and people were losing their minds. Why?
Yeah.
Why can't you just be happy?
Yeah.
She has nothing to do with football.
However,
like,
not to get down that rabbit hole, but Roger Goodell, the commissioner, They had, I think it was 120, 130 million viewers in the U.S. last year. They're expecting or hoping for 200 million. Not because of that. That's a factor. But there's a lot of other things out here, and we're sorry to get down this rabbit. This is Super Bowl week, right? You know, I mean, fuck it. But it's because I think I'm an old enough man now that I was upset when they started doing some games on Peacock. Because I'm like, I don't have Peacock. You know what I mean? And if the Bears were on Peacock, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah.
They said that
no one was going to buy Peacock to watch the Bears.
Ouch.
Not this year. Maybe next year.
Not since Logan.
All right.
If the Bears were on Peacock in 1985, let's get into this.
The Bears.
No, but I was just saying, like, it was just funny. Like, we were all upset about that. They had 2 games on Peacock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The NFL. And they said that the demographic that watched it was like 10 years younger on average.
Yeah.
And they reached a new demographic because, and I started thinking about it, I'm like, you're absolutely right. There's some like 20-some-year-olds, 20 to 30-some-year-olds that they don't know how to watch a game on CBS. If I said just plug, like, they don't have cable, they don't have YouTube TV, they don't have Hulu Live, they stream everything. And all of a sudden, Amazon Prime, Thursday Night Football. I'll check this out.
So one of the things I was
I'd
thinking
say
about,
plug in some rabbit ears and you can watch on Fox and CBS and watch local games. You're like, what are rabbit ears?
exactly. Yeah.
It's like
One of the things I was thinking about.
like
So
80-90% of like NFL football is actually free.
Yeah.
To you.
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking about
our minds over a $5.99 a month or like a $30
for
a
1
year.
month. Yeah.
Yeah, $30 a year subscription for Peacock. Fuck this. Oh wait, they do have these shows I like. Hang on a second. It's like, all right, I understand both sides of this.
No, one of the things that I remember thinking about was, the last couple of years, there's been this conspiracy about how the Super Bowl logo
I know
predicted the 2 teams that would be in it.
it's over.
But here's the thing. Because I kind of thought about this because they were sitting there going, oh, if you look at the colors of the Super Bowl, it's going to be 49ers and Ravens. All right. Well, who beat the Ravens? Kansas City Chiefs.
Correct.
Well, what happened that would have made the NFL favor the Chiefs instead of the Ravens?
Taylor Swift.
There you go. So maybe they sat there and
Maybe
maybe,
like purple.
maybe we'll skew that. Well, they'd already come out with the logo though. So like, maybe we'll skew the games to so that way, she's on there. We get a different demographic of as viewers, as you brought up, Steve.
Maybe. I'm not mad at it. I think it's gonna be a great game, and also the Rave, like they made them look bad.
I do care more about the commercials.
I hope they're back in full force.
Yeah. I've been disappointed with the commercials the last few years, to be honest.
So the last week or so, I've been looking at my Facebook memories, and I would sit there and post on Facebook like, hey, so far this commercial's winning in the first quarter, second quarter, this is the best commercial. All right, halftime, here's my top 5 commercials. And it's like, who's coming out with the best commercials?
So we got a couple things working for us as people that enjoy the commercials and what we're excited for commercials. Crypto had a rough year. So we're going to have the weird crypto commercials, right?
Yeah. Just the bouncing logo.
Which everyone's like, holy shit, what is that? And then they're like, oh, I get it, right? So it wasn't bad. Budweiser.
Ooh.
It's been a rough year.
Yes, it has.
They've come out with some good commercials lately.
If they keep
could be the turnaround.
If they keep the Clydesdales in it, it'll be a winner.
They had Peyton Manning and Emmitt Smith throwing out Bud Lights at a bar on the recent commercials, if you've seen that.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah, you didn't think anything of it. You're like, oh, it's like you didn't think Bud Light. You're like, this is a fun commercial. It could be a pivotal point in some big things. There should be some funny commercials, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of groans. But if anyone was smart, God, I hope it's not Pfizer. But if they had a Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce commercial on there,
oh no,
Patrick Mahomes. If State Farm could afford Taylor Swift,
well, they've already been doing commercials with Arnold.
oh, that's going to be the big one. It's going to be the big one, isn't it? God, I forgot about that.
I mean, my money's still on Doritos. Doritos always puts
I'll
out a
tell you
good
what,
commercial.
Doritos,
They do.
They always put out a good
the
one.
last few
Yeah.
years, Doritos and Cheetos, like they've
Before
been
you
putting out
pour
some.
another one. Smell that glass.
They've been
Not to
putting
get
out
off
some.
topic.
They've been putting out some bangers of
All
commercials.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, just open. The more you let it sit, the more that maple
Jesus.
comes out.
So you're doing this again? You said.
Hopefully.
Sometimes I think with like we were talking about before, when even with like what the Watershed stuff, where I said, one of the big things, like I'm excited about it, but sometimes when you pump this stuff out, like 3 bottles in a row, I don't know which one to buy. It's like you have the limited income, but it's like now on the second run of those things, sometimes you have an opportunity to get this.
Right.
You drink something, like now I am excited, and I hope that I'm excited when I crack the next bottle.
Yeah.
Of something.
And that's a whole nother thing for me. That's what gets me excited is seeing the popularity and see how much people love that product. It's like, that gets me pumped. Like, let's make the next one better, just as good, better.
You don't want to oversaturate, just like like what people thought Taylor Swift was doing. A lot of parallels here tonight. All right, what are we excited for going forward? For me, it's looking forward to Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to hosting. Again, this is the first time. So like last year, Chris and I were together, and we were hosting. She was hosting at what was my house, and this year, I'm super happy about it. She moved in. Seems like a lot longer in a good way. We were talking about it tonight, but it was like she moved in at the end of the year, and so it hasn't been that long. But we're talking about the future and talking about, but we still like now we're looking at it's like, well, we're hosting again, but now it's different. Hosting this is days away. Looking forward to the next vacation. I'm looking forward to the 10 event in between these events, and I'm really one that it's not about I'm looking like 3 years ago, even 2+ years ago, Nate, you know me a long time, but during that time, I was focused on now to get to enjoying life really passionately again. And I was really succeeding at it, and the events that have transpired, it's really translated. Even this last trip that I've had, even this last weekend, it's nothing that like I was doing something wrong, but it's just appreciating some of the surroundings and the opportunities that I've been given in my personal life because of who I've been fortunate enough to surround myself with, that really pushed me to enjoy the present as opposed to the past. The past isn't the motivation as much as it is the present is the motivation going forward. And I think that's something that when you're looking at that is when I was talking about earlier, like you're overhyping something coming up or something you're excited for, you're almost like setting yourself up for disappointment. Where now I'm looking at it as like, I'm really just enjoying what's going on and what is coming up. And I look at that and I'm super excited about what's coming up and it's tomorrow, it's days away. It's all like, it's that input coming in my life, watching shows, listening to podcasts, listening to other things. It's this, it's what you allow your input to be. And that's where I'm like, I'm trying to listen to positive stuff. I'm listening to these messages. Like even when I'm like, it's weird. Like even like on like Instagram, if you guys are in social media, it's like even like Instagram and stuff like that. I've steered clear of TikTok more because I feel like that whatever algorithm that it was a waste of time. Where now it's funny that I say that because it's some people are like it's all a waste of time. But now it's like the Instagram reels, like my girlfriend Kristen and I, like we send stuff back and forth to each other. I'll share it and then I get comments from people and I'm like it now there's social interaction coming from what used to be a waste of time where I'm just like bit scrolling, what I mean? And next thing you know, it's like a half hour has passed and I've been watching a show that I missed half of it because I'm doing that stuff. It's like everything starts kind of clicking. Because I'm bypassing some of the input that was really just kind of a waste or negative thing. And now I'm like, oh, I can share this with this friend. I can share this with this person in my life. I can share. And it's like all of these things that sometimes people look at as a waste of time, even I can really translate to the input coming in is matching. Not trying to give credit to all the social media out there. I would love Facebook to really promote our stuff again, but I'm looking at it as the people that I've been fortunate enough to surround myself with in life more recently has opened my mind to. I'm excited about a lot, and when I'm finding myself not as excited, that is a huge flag that I am going to respond to.
Yeah, I think you said
where
something.
In the past I haven't.
Yeah, that's a big key. You kind of figured it out. Is you can't. Sometimes when you look at the past and you're like, man, that was an exciting time. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You kind of get in that lull where like, man, this isn't right now. The present isn't as exciting, and it's hard to, you get in that lull where you're like, well, should I look forward to the future? Should I get excited about anything? Like the past was so good. And it's hard to differentiate those two sometimes.
It's I look at it as going through life sometimes, it's like if you have your foot on the gas all the time, it's like driving a car. You're careless and something's gonna happen, right? If you're on the brake the whole time, you're gonna have people honking at you. You're
not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere, but it's like you're pumping your brakes because you're just super cautious. It's the balance of driving safely through life. And I think it's something that, sometimes you do have to give a little more gas. You got to look, not just necessarily, obviously look at the cars around you, look at the things that are happening around you. But sometimes you get that open road. Don't think that something's going to happen all the time. Allow yourself to enjoy the scenery, enjoy you're going the speed limit. There's not asshole drivers around you. In life, you're enjoying the ride a little bit. And God, I mean, there's been times in my life where I did not allow myself to enjoy it as much as I should. And previous experiences kept my foot on the brake a little bit more. And I feel as though that where I'm at right now, and I know a lot of people listen now or after the fact, and I got to tell you, Ryan, like what you're going through right now it's inspiring because it's fun to hear that, and Nate, what you were talking about when you were in the situation, getting married and all that stuff, all the stress coming down there, man, it's not about putting blinders on and blocking those people out. It's more of like, we're enjoying this. Yeah. If you want to enjoy this with us, fantastic. If you don't, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Well,
we're going to enjoy this.
It's funny that
I'm going to enjoy this.
The people that were giving me the most shit about not being nervous about the wedding, those people weren't even invited to the wedding to begin with. It's like, there's a reason for that.
Hopefully they didn't show up.
They didn't.
It's infectious. We've used that word before. It's infectious.
Should be.
I mean,
you can live your life almost like it's got to be for you, right? Man, one of the biggest things that's a motivator for me and what I've been listening to lately is when you have that idea of like things are infectious, especially the positivity and like surrounding yourself or having conversation with people. You can have a conversation with a stranger that they're so like they're positive or they're just rolling through life and they're enjoying and just something you're listening, you're truly listening. And that's something that's what's infectious. I feel like that's when you got to be able to absorb that and project it going forward because it's
take it and run.
Yeah. Nate, closing remarks.
Well,
no. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, I mean, recently I've been in kind of a rut, and it's weird that this happened like right after I turned 40. Like all of a sudden in my mind, Steve, you kind of saw this over the last couple weeks when I'd come here for the podcast or at the shop. Like, like there was something that was just weighing me down. It was just things I was thinking about. You know, I was sitting there thinking about the past and like, what would I change? I know I can't change it, but you know, like the things I may have not wanted at the time, I wish I had now, but now it's too late that I can't do those things. And so like that's kind of what was weighing me down for a little bit over the last few weeks. And you know,
Sure.
you noticed that there was something off with me.
Yeah. Sure did.
Which is one of the reasons I appreciate having you as a friend, is because you noticed that change. And so like one of the things I've had to do over the course of that time is like, okay, I can't go back and change things. So what do I do now? Like, okay, some of the things I wanted can't achieve those, can't get those. So what do I do now to make the best of it? Where do I go going forward? Like, what are the opportunities that lay before me that, you know, I can achieve that level of happiness in a different way?
Well, what do you want now? That's the difference, right?
Yeah.
Is it the same that you wanted then? Like all those questions, right? There's a lot going on there. You know, you can't change the past. You're absolutely right. And that's where it's like, even in my life, it's like I've been through, you know, a lot of things, ups and downs, like jobs and relationships, been married and divorced and happy now. It's a recentering of a lot of things in your life. And I think it's a big self-assessment that it's like, what do you want now? What do you want going forward? You know, you can deal with your failures or your previous goals, and sometimes their previous goals are still strong. So it's like, how does that adapt to where you're at this point in life? And I think that's something that you can absolutely achieve. But sometimes if it's like, yeah, by the age of 28, I want to achieve this, and it's like, well, now you're 32, turning 33. Now you're 40. It's like, you're not going to achieve it by the time you're 28.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what do you want to achieve by the time you're 45?
Yeah.
You know, whatever it is, it's you have those goals, and it's not just job interview questions like where do you see yourself in 5 years, but there is something on the classic side of it, is that I think that you can ask yourself, like, where do I want to be in 5 years? And if again, it's, for me, it's the gas and brake pedal. If you have your foot on the brake pedal more, or you have like your two-footed driving. My dad used to do that when he was older, right? You know, he bugged the shit out of me. Like, the left foot is not for the brake. You know what I mean? It's an automatic.
Your brake lights.
He grew up on manual transmissions.
Your brake,
Strange.
that Lincoln lasted way longer than it should have. I gotta be honest, and I love that it did, because I got to drive it in high school. But sometimes you drive that thing where it's like,
brake pads smell great at 7 a.m.
You know, it's like, the red light turned green. We're moving, and I still see your foot pushing on the man. This Lincoln's a great car. You used to make them great, but I know what you're saying, though. All right, closing remarks. Yeah. Who wants to start?
Ryan, you're the guest of honor.
He's got a lot to be excited about.
It's you know,
we all do, but
we all do.
Gosh.
But yeah, me especially. I've said it before. It's a big year for us. We set a lot of big goals. We're working hard. We're grinding, going after them. For me, there's just so much to be thankful for, and so much to look forward to and be excited for. That, you know, I want people to enjoy that with me. You know, we said that earlier, that, you know, it's one thing to be happy and looking forward to the joys in life, but, you know, it's even better and even more fulfilling when you have good people around you that can enjoy it with you. So, yeah, a lot of big things happening.
It is. I love the fact that you say it's a big year for us. This is a lot about a person.
Yeah. It takes two to tango, right?
They say.
But also it's no longer, you know, once you get married, it's no longer you.
Right.
It's us. It's we.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your viewpoint and your dynamic changes because of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not just living for yourself. There's someone else going along that ride with you.
Absolutely. And I truly feel, if you're not saying that, before you get to that point, maybe you should reevaluate. Maybe you should take a long, hard thought about decisions you made. And if you don't feel comfortable in that space where it is us, then
why were you in it in the first place?
Exactly.
Like you start questioning your motivation. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Nate, closing remarks.
I mean, I'm excited. Now that I've had my one-on-one review at work, like I said, I achieved the primary goal I set out to, even though it took a little bit longer than I wanted it to. And honestly, I think it took longer than what my boss wanted it to, but that wasn't necessarily on him. A lot of dynamics going on with a company as quote unquote small as we are, but growing as fast as we are.
As soon as you guys moved, it's exponential.
Yeah. So I'm glad that I've achieved that primary goal. So now going forward, all those criticisms and the negatives that came up in that interview, now's my time to be able to take care of those and work on those.
Respond.
Yeah. So that way, because the first year working at Carfagna's, I was primarily working on achieving a goal for myself. Now it's more about the team, not just me, but what can I do to help the team, and some of the issues that team members have had with me, work on addressing those. And I think because I've accomplished the primary goal, it makes those issues more easily fixable.
Sure.
Because now my motivation has changed a little bit. Not to the negative. It's not like I'm going to slack off and not work as hard as I was and not do the kind of job I was doing. It's just I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody anymore. Whereas for my first year in that job, I felt like I was trying to prove myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so like some of the same
You might have been overdoing it.
Yes. So and I'll be honest with you, Steve, some of the criticisms that I got.
Don't get too far into it. Just
No. Some of the criticisms that I got in my one-on-one that came from other team members were some of the same criticisms that I used to get early on when I was working at Tinder Box. But it was the same reason. Like when I first started working at Tinder Box, I felt like I had to prove myself to be there.
Even though you're experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I started working,
anytime you're a new guy, right? You want to make yourself.
You want to prove yourself.
Sure.
You want to prove that there's a reason they brought you on. And so like when I started working at Tinder Box, that was there. And some of the people at Tinder Box, including yourself, would bring up an issue. And it's the same thing that I've been dealing with at Carfagna's. I've gotten past that at Tinder Box because, I've been there as long as I have. So now that issue's kind of gone away. I just now have to do that where I'm at now at Carfagna's, because now I've achieved what I've wanted to, what I set out primarily to achieve. Okay, now the stress is off. I don't have to prove myself to anybody.
Keep the foot on the gas a bit, though.
Keep my foot on the gas to do my job, but not prove myself to other people. Because when I was overexerting myself to prove myself to other people, that's what caused the friction with other people. I don't have to do that anymore. So now I'm hoping going forward, there's a much smoother dynamic working with the rest of the team.
I like it.
Love it.
Because even when I had that meeting yesterday,
you probably had that, Ryan, too.
When I had that,
everybody does.
When I had that meeting yesterday, and my boss brought that up, I was like,
yesterday.
It was yesterday.
I didn't know it's that fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, it was yesterday, my 1-year anniversary.
Okay.
When he brought those up, I was like, yeah, I've had that issue in the past. There's a reason I have that issue. But then later at the very end of the meeting, once I got the news that I was hoping for, it's like, okay, now that's out of the way. That's the big hurdle.
Yeah.
I can back off the gas a little bit still do my job. I'm not,
Yeah, I got you.
I'm not slacking off, but it's like now I don't have to prove what I know. I don't have to prove myself to anybody else. I can back off and let other people do their stuff and let me do my stuff. Focus on what I do. Let other people focus on what they do. Instead of the issue was I was trying to do what I do and what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry about that anymore. Just focus on what I do.
Be a team player. Right. Let me build off of that with my closing remarks is I've been through ups and downs and years of my life. And I think my biggest, I've had it before, but once again, having this revelation where it, the topic was, what are you excited for? It's allowing yourself to be excited. It's like what you said, Nate, is yes, respond to that, but stay excited. Keep the foot mostly on the gas and make sure you use the brake when you need to. But now with what you're saying, I'm not going to just respond to what you were saying, Nate, but it's I think the best combination where you can respond knowing that some of the things that you do when you are just full gas, the dangers of it, because now you're maybe a metaphor here, right? You're a careless driver that you just don't care. You're not using blinkers. You're not doing anything else. But now it's like, all right, so
you're not staying in your lane.
Not staying in your lane. You're just, but now it's like now I got to share the road with other people, right? But you're still excited about the destination and also what's going to get you there, the journey along that ride. And I think that my biggest thing is that, for me and for people around me is I'm not necessarily going to just not communicate with people that are negative. Some people will take that extreme where it's like, if you're not positive in my life, I'm going to cut you out. If it's extreme negative, you got to. But what I've learned is you can embrace being excited about stuff. And the people that are frustrated with the fact that you're excited about stuff, or that they resent it, they they might bring you down by their life and what's going on and their interaction with you. It's like you can steer a little bit away from that. You can keep doing that, but the more you embrace yourself, especially if you've had some assessment on what makes you happy, now it's the fact that it's like, what makes me happy, and then what people in my life that make me happy. And I will say this is that I've dealt with this, a lot of people deal with this, is that sometimes when you're doing well or you're excited about life, there is this background guilt that you are loving your life right now, and the people that are important to you may not be at that level. The people you respect and care about aren't at that level. Lead by example and stay excited. I gotta say, it's something that it's like, talk about what makes you happy. Go into those situations with excitement and positivity the best you can. I'm not always that way. I'm not saying I'm this positive guy all the time. I deal with it, my emotions and all that stuff, but I communicate now better than I probably ever have. And I can look at the past situations in my life that if I was living the way I'm trying to live now and surrounding myself with the people I surround myself with, if I had done that, my life would have taken a different path. But where I'm at, I want to take it a path that I'm happy with going forward, with the comments of, you can't change your past. You can't change the situations that happened, the people that you may not talk to anymore. It's not that I wish things were different now. It's the fact that I appreciate it, and I've learned from it. And I think that I encourage everyone to just really embrace if you're feeling good about something, you're excited about something, the topic tonight was what are you excited for, is enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Don't feel the guilt. Don't let the guilt of other people not being excited, blah, blah. Just absolutely just go, not full gas, but drive carefully through this. But know you're going to a destination that you want to go to, and enjoy that ride. And sometimes people will turn off. They're not gonna ride with you. That's okay. You know what I mean? Hopefully they'll find their own path, and it could be a different road. You know, it's just, man, it's really, really enjoyable to embrace your excitement about something, especially conversation in part 2 is if you're getting feedback, if you can give feedback. If the person in the passenger seat with you, or if you're in a passenger seat with someone else driving the car, is that you're enjoying the ride, man. You know, what do you want to listen to on the radio? Let's listen like some tunes. Let's enjoy this. You know, I mean, it's create your own life so that you're doing what you want to do while you're enjoying this life. It's I would say it's not simple, but it is simpler than I've given myself the credit that it's simpler for that. And while you're enjoying it, just try to enjoy it, not with blinders on, but just
be proud of your enjoyment.
Yeah, absolutely, Ryan. Absolutely.
Well, and I want to ask you a question, Steve, based on what you said.
Okay, let's go.
It can either be rhetorical or you can answer. I think you could provide a great answer if you wanted to. You had mentioned, don't cut out negative people. I think one of the important things about that, what if you're the positive? What if you are the positive in those negative people's lives? That's the danger about, like, I get the idea of cutting out negative people. I get that. But I think sometimes we have to look at it as, what if we are the positive example for them? That's a reason to not cut them off.
So I'll answer this. We've used the word infectious a lot tonight, right? On this topic. I would say what I've learned is don't be a fixer, but you can keep certain people in your life with the hope that as a byproduct, not intentionally, but as a byproduct, infect their lives with what's going on.
Yeah.
You don't have to leading by example.
Well said. That's well said.
It's leading by example. That's focusing on you. It's focusing on people that are important, that are feeding your positivity. It's feeding your path. Because when you're trying to fix someone or trying to give more attention to people that are maybe the negative in your life, but you're the positive in their lives, now all of a sudden that it's more of, and I'm going to take this metaphor a little further, but it's like now there's a virus in there. It's not that you are the drug or the supplemental like positivity in there, but if you don't keep focusing on that and you're focusing on that negative person in your life or the drowning side of it, that's going to infect as a virus into what you were doing, because that's easy. It's the same thing as when, people give reviews. We talked about this and everyone knows this is like more people give negative reviews on something than they give positive reviews, because the positive reviews, you're just cruising through life. Like I fucking enjoyed this bottle from Watershed. I enjoyed it. Do they give reviews on it? No. People that give reviews on it, the people like the negative. I hated this. It was a bad experience. All this stuff. Talking about those resorts, same thing. It's like less people say how much of a good time they had at this resort, or how much they had a good time at this restaurant, how much they had a good time when drinking a bottle. The reviews are more for themselves and all that. So that's how I would answer it.
Yeah, we had that topic one time with Dustin on what the fuck is your problem.
Yeah, I mean that was the big
that
thing.
was the topic.
So that's where I'm like, now it's even when you're having a bad time, something happened in your life, work on it, and then expose yourself again to the world and the people around you.
you can be that light for people. So to
You can
speak.
be that light. You can be that light. You just don't want to be the darkness for it. Got to pour a little bit more of that
You're right.
maple syrup. in here.
Spicy's caught me, man.
I'll take a little bit more. We'll cheers to this. I got it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Thank you for doing these projects too. It's where it comes from. Yeah. Nate, that's my biggest thing, Ryan. That's my biggest thing is that, right now I'm in a good place in my life, and I've been in good places, bad places in my life. And right now I feel very fortunate to be in a place where I feel good, and I am starting to take my foot off the brake a little bit more than I have in my past. And Nate, you brought that up, and I think I know why, but there have been times where I've focused more on people that I want to help, and I don't understand why they're not in a good place, even when I was in a good place. And that has cost me a bit of sleep, stress, and just physical health, relationships, all that stuff, because I was more focused on just like a lot of companies do, I was focused on the squeaky wheel of my life as opposed to enjoying the things that are going well. It's so easy to focus on the negative.
Yeah.
It really is. And that's where you focus more on the positive, and you hope to bring people along with you while you're enjoying and just riding that wave. Yeah. Guys, anything else?
Well said, sir.
Ryan, thanks for being a part of this. Nate, cheers. Guys,
Cheers. Absolutely.
guys and girls out there, cheers. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. We will see you next week. And we've said it many times, enter the lottery at watersheddistillery.com for this bottle of the rye.
Cheers, guys.
It's fucking good, man.